All right, we're back with another episode of Around the Indoor Football World, and we've got a lot of big news to talk about this week. We've had, team announcements for the National Arena League with Southwest Kansas and Salina switching over from the AF1. You've got Bay Area going dormant, as well as very many, very, very many coaching moves over the past couple weeks. But with the big news being the Southwest Kansas and Salina move, we felt like we might want to introduce or bring on a very special guest for this segment in particular. So here in a moment, we'll welcome on Commissioner of the NAL, Mr. Brandon Eichhardt. But before we do that, a quick intro video. All right. And without further ado, here he is, the Commissioner of the National Arena League. Mr. Commissioner, how are you doing this morning?
Oh, doing well. Thanks, guys, for having me. I think it's the first time on the show and anything I've done.
Love it. Love it. Very excited to have you on. Obviously we got to meet at the Pueblo announcement. It was the first time I actually got to sit and speak with you. And honestly, I came away impressed with some of the things that you were telling Lisa and kind of some of the guidance you were giving her. And it just seems like from the outside looking in, the NAL seems to be in good hands with you at the top here.
I mean, I say this on everything, Sam and Chris. You watching the stuff I do. It's not me necessarily the person doing it. There's a group of owners who stand behind what they want to do. They have their visions, and I'm just the what's that, the cog in the wheel or whatnot that basically puts it forward. They say, "Hey, we'd like to do this. Can you figure some of this out?" So, whatever credit you guys want to give me, I'm going to put it right back towards our ownership groups because without them having the drive and wanting to do this, the professionalism wouldn't grow that way.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, speaking of those ownership groups, obviously the big piece of news that we've, alluded to in the lead up here, Southwest Kansas and Salina announced yesterday that they're moving over to the National Arena League. How big of an addition or additions are those for the National Arena League in 2026?
I mean, they're huge. Anytime you can add organizations that are, not expansion. You guys talk about this every week. They're not expansion. Obviously, we'll put them on an expansion list for our league because it's their first year in the NAL. I mean, they've been around for years. I mean, and they've been doing it right many, many years. They haven't done anything that's not professional, not clean. They have a great fan base in both cities, and they've done a really good job the last 2 years in those leagues they were in. So for us, it's a footprint thing. I mean, honestly, you've talked about it, and I know everybody goes about this different ways, but you guys always talk about the cost and things of that nature. It's a footprint. A coach out here last night was like, "Hey, we're always talked about as being like, the center of the donut for everybody." And to be quite honest, it fits the strategic plan that we have for the business model with the league right now to have them in the league. There's multiple factors, not only the travel factor, not only the experience of the organization factor, but the brands they bring in. It's just a huge, huge thing for the league. I mean, my point yesterday is this one of the biggest days I think for the league that they've had in years, just in a single day.
I think that's probably not the boldest statement in the world, honestly. I mean, that was a pretty big announcement yesterday, and obviously, I think it shook up a lot of things. And like you said, footprint wise, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, logistically, right now, I think the league is as compact as it's been, in years. So I mean, I think this is good for the ownership groups and good for the league long term. But Krish, I've talked long enough, my friend. I'm sure you've got plenty of questions. I'll let you jump in here.
No, I'm really excited for 2026. When you look at the footprint, you look at the competition. Do you expect to keep the conference model? And what do you think the playoff format will look like in 2026?
So no conference model. We're probably not going to stay conference model. Obviously, with the tight footprint, there are some outliers, but you always want to have competition. You guys always want to see good games, correct? So if you start getting into a conference situation in this, we're dividing it out into two conferences. And let's be honest, once teams get to the bottom, you want them to continue to compete, but do they continue to spend to compete? Well, with our model we're going with this year, it's going to be a lot better. 6 teams in the playoffs, and that way we've got everybody competing up until the end. And it's not going to be set up basically with a like we had last year, the national and the American. I mean, that was set up based upon location, things of that nature to try and make it better for the league. And we had the teams coming in from the AIF when it folded down and merged in to the league. So that kind of kept those with their heritage. But now we're just going this model. And like I said, you're wanting to know about conferences, Chris. Let's be honest. If we start breaking up conferences, you're going to have murders row in one conference. I mean, you're talking about think of the sum of competition you're going to have every week in the league now. I know you've talked about different leagues and you're like, hey, this league, well, Chris, you're the one to say this, not you, Sam. Hey, well, I know these 4 teams are in the playoffs. I don't know why anybody else is playing. Okay, well, pick even out of the organizations we have now. Go ahead and tell me the 6 that are in the playoffs. Chris, I know the 2 you're not going to say because you bash them every week, but we're going to say there are 6 teams making the playoffs. So at that point, everybody's going to have to compete. This is not a cakewalk for anybody. I mean, it's great competition up and down.
I would definitely agree on that front. You brought in 2 teams that have made the playoffs for 2 seasons in the leagues that they were in. You've got Omaha, which is always competitive. It doesn't matter who coaches them or who plays for them. Sioux City is going to always be competitive. I mean, realistically, this whole league honestly looks as strong as it has in many years. And I mean, we were talking about it last night in our group chats and everything. And honestly, we have a couple question marks. Obviously, Dallas has a lot left to announce, and Shreveport, they just announced a coach with Michael Blair and Thomas Williams there. They're kind of still a big question mark with the new ownership group there as well. So, I mean, other than that, I think the league's going to be really, really tough. We'll see how Amarillo does this year, but other than that, I'm very excited. It's going to be a very fun season, I think.
Absolutely. You're close, Sam. You can get to a lot of games within what, 4 or 5 hours?
That's the plan. Yeah, I think I've got 4 teams, maybe more within 5 hours. Yeah. So I definitely will be making a lot of the Spartans games, a lot of the Punishers games. We are actually currently working on setting up to do a live podcast from opening day at Pueblo. So we'll try and get that rolling. We've already talked to Lisa about it and everything like that. So that's the plan tentatively right now for this season, and then I'll probably try to get out to Dodge City, and if not, Salina as well. But not quite as traveled as you this off season.
Yeah, I've been quite a few places. I've seen lots of different things. It's
I can only imagine. Speaking of
every
which,
every area has that.
how was your travel from Salina to Southwest Kansas yesterday?
So on the way down, I have never seen so many windmills, the electric windmill things in my life. It's like I literally sent a picture and a video to my wife. I was like, I didn't think this was real. I mean, it's just consistent, like miles, and that's all you're driving by. I was like, holy crap. So, but other than that, it's just it's a Kansas drive, man. If you've ever been to Kansas, it's kind of the same scenery. When I was in Wichita, I'd been to Dodge once before when I was in Kansas back in 2009 when I was at the Wild, and it was just something I didn't remember. But it's just a Kansas travel, man. It's flat, a lot of farmland. Enjoy the scenery that's 3 to 4 miles off, 10 miles off that you can see straight over the horizon. So nothing crazy.
Absolutely. So I wanted to ask you about a situation that I feel like you can clear up a little bit, and hopefully it's okay for you to talk about this. But recently, as you know, Stephen of Inside the Arena got a cease and desist from the league.
Mhm.
Can you elaborate at all on what caused that situation? Just for the content creators out there that might be concerned that they might have one hitting their mailbox soon.
Sure. I mean, and actually, I'm not going to lie, Sam, you reached out to us almost immediately and said, we're not screwing up, are we? So all it is, guys, is we're trying to protect the content that we create. You guys are more than welcome to share any of that content. Do what you want with that content. The issue is when you start, just like any other material, you start creating that content, editing it down using things that were already created by the league and claiming it as your own. So if we ask you guys, hey, if we create, great example, if we run a live, Sam, and you take the live and somehow figure out I'm not this smart, you guys are the tech guys, how to rip that and make it look like it's your live and you're the one doing it, or we do videos, we create the videos we did this week. We did a lot of intro videos for games this week. You guys start taking those, ripping those down and putting them as your own. At least you got to credit the league, because the thing is, we've got people that work behind the scenes, and I know no one thinks that our front office is huge. No one thinks about this, but we do have people inside our teams, our organizations, and they spend a lot of time on these things, and they deserve to get the credit so that of the materials they've done. Because honestly, if someone's looking to get to a higher league, you always talk about the players, right? Players always want to get to a higher league using the NAL, the other leagues, IFL, AF1, TAL, whatever, to get to that higher league. You have those same kind of individuals inside of our organization as the league and teams. Some of them have the aspirations to get to the next level. So if they've created some crazy, let's say, video, some graphic, and we're pushing this out to help them, and someone asks about it, that for them is in their portfolio of things they've done, and they need to be credited for that. And all we ask is that you just don't modify or edit that. There's nothing more than that. If you do want to take something, just credit the league. And just as a clear understanding, a way to credit someone, if anyone's asking, look at any kind of, I'm going to use NFL games, ESPN, use them. All they do is credit everybody at the end. They literally say, hey, photo courtesy of, if you guys took it, Sam, we should say photo courtesy of Shady Sports Network. And basically saying, type it out, and at the end tagging at Shady Sports Network. That doesn't give you credit for the photo. It just says, hey, look, Shady Sports Network. So we're just asking for that. There's only those two things, guys. It's not that. We had, actually, you'll laugh, you weren't the only one that reached out, Sam. We had about 2 other organizations that were new we didn't know about, and 2 that we did know about that reached out. And we simply said, this is all it is, guys. Because with the obvious anticipation, I'm not going to hide the fact of the news that was coming yesterday, there were rumblings. So a lot of people started reaching out because they wanted to report on it. And we just wanted to be able to have that be that way. And for that situation, not to go into detail, it was handled on the back end in a professional manner. I'm sorry that that person felt a certain way about it. We did offer the alternatives, and actually in the letter, it does explain exactly what I just said. Please just credit the things properly, or don't edit them. We didn't ever once said, and we would never ask you or any other network to stop sharing anything we do. Honestly, the part of the terminology is moronic. It's the stupidest thing you could do. We want all the fans we can have. We just want it done the right way. And we want to support you guys the way you support us, and have it be an equal street back and forth.
Yeah, obviously I reached out, like you said, almost immediately, because obviously, a lot of people got concerned because of, all of us creating content around the arena football world. We all wanted to make sure that we weren't necessarily going down that same path. So I appreciate you, first of all, answering my message immediately when I reached out, and second of all, kind of clearing up that situation for us. Because at the end of the day, we're all here to help grow the sport, right? So when you're taken away from a league, you're not necessarily doing that, and you're kind of losing the whole spirit of what we're doing here. So I completely understand. I think that this is important, and it would have happened with any other league you cover. Indoor football league has pressured some guys not to do stuff like this before. UFL, CFL, NFL, all of them. So, to me, this is a sign of the league trying to trend in a more professional direction. And I have zero issue with that personally. So,
Well,
I
Sam,
think it's a good
on
move.
that real quick, what I will say is, when you look at the leagues, like you said, and I'll use the IFL as one, just to be honest, the IFL, a lot of guys aren't brave enough to try and do that with IFL material, but they are brave enough to do that with smaller, I'm going to say that, smaller style organizations or leagues, because they feel as though, I saw the comments, they were sent to me, that, this or that, there's no reason, no grounds, they're not going to do anything. It's not a matter of doing anything. It's just a matter of protecting. We're not here to cause issues. It's just, when you would not do that, as you said, you would not do that to the NFL, because what's going to happen. You would not do that to, the CFL, the NCAA. You would not do that even, let's be honest, forget sports, with Disney content, because what's going to happen. So if you know that it's going to happen for any other professional organization or business, what would make you think to just start doing it that way? And I know that it's not something that's been really looked at in the past, but as you said, I think it's very obvious with the ownership group and everything we're doing, the league's trying to go in the right direction to build towards a better thing for the fans and a model, and to get out the true information we're putting out and the true vision of what's there. It's easier to do it with what we're sharing and not to edit it. You can have your opinion, and I made that very clear. I told you that you can go off on us. You could post something and talk completely. No, you said, Krish, you can do what you do, okay, and go off. But at least share the content and then disagree with it, because that's what you do. There's no problem with that. You guys have your opinion. Say what you want. I'm not going to fault anybody for your opinion. History is why people have opinions. When we change the history and the perspective of what people think, then we can start saying, hey, why do you say that? But right now, you're going to have your doubts. You're going to have your opinions. And I'm not going to tell you can't, nor any of the owners. They understand that you're going to feel a certain way. There are people that are angry about the decision yesterday. That's their right. And that's just kind of the way it is. Like I said, it's your opinion. Have it. I know you like that, Krish. I know you like to have your own opinion and be able to say what you want. And we're fine with that. But at least just credit it where it goes.
Simple enough. Simple enough. So for content creators out there that have been reaching out to me because I had no answers until I reached out to the commissioner, there's the answer from the horse's mouth. So really appreciate you giving us some clarity on that. And there's guys that are literally in the comments right now thanking you for explaining that. So Krish, do you have any more questions for Mr. Commissioner?
No, I appreciate your time. I really enjoyed having you on, and I look forward to 2026. I'm really excited for it. Sure.
I did want to ask you one more question before you get out of here, because I know you were very integral in this this setup. But the NAL shop, first of all, I'm very shocked you guys are the first major league or first indoor league to do this, where all the gear is collected in one location. But how did this all come about? Whose idea was that?
It's kind of a joint idea. I mean, obviously, we look at things, and I said this, I've been on quite a few different podcasts over the last week or so, and I said this on Omaha's on Thursday night. The goal is to pattern yourself after things are successful, right? Don't sit back and just try to do your own thing. Don't reinvent the wheel. So if we're going to be professional, let's aim to be like those other organizations. Everyone strives to play in the NFL. So why can't we strive to become the NFL of indoor? I know there's another league that everyone sees as tier one, top level. We're not arguing who is where, but why can't we do the best to do what we can do as the NAL? It also gives the ability for all of our organizations to be treated equally. Dodge City is which is where I'm at with Southwest Kansas, new to the league, everything. They're smaller city market town. Same thing. Salina's smaller. You've got these smaller areas that we're picking up in these communities that love their football. But the biggest complaint is what, and you guys can say this, when you get into a league, some teams get covered by the league more than others. Some teams get better publicity than others. We want a standardized point across the board so that all teams are shown equally, and that's the best way to do it. Also, let's be honest, it's a great way for a new team. Let's say use your guys or your Lisa and Pueblo. Sam, if we'd have had this released immediately, as soon as Pueblo dropped, it would have been able to go get Pueblo merchandise. And we're looking at doing things that are easier for them. Now, just so everybody knows, this is the same as any other thing. There's league revenue sharing there. I mean, money goes to the team. So if you're buying merch from teams, you guys are getting money back to those teams. It's not something that's just a smoke and mirrors. So you're still supporting your teams, but it allows those organizations who are new, which we don't have as many brand new ones this year, but are newer, like Lisa. She could have put a store out immediately, had merch already available, matching everything that goes there. She has the same amount of material coming out day one as everyone else and gets the same compensation rate as everyone else. So it's basically a process to help them build and actually fund their teams. I know many people don't know how much that could be, but revenue off of merch can be actually quite a bit of revenue when it's all said and done. And the less things you have to do as a new owner, day one, really help you. So I guess philosophy wise, or I guess it's not really a philosophy, but looking at it as far as, back to the original time I took over, was the visibility and viability. That's been my two words since I've taken over. Look at any podcast I do. Visibility, it puts us out there, makes us visible. And viability, it gives us the standing that shows that we're actually viable to be in the market and do some things like that. And there's other stuff we're doing that's going to come out. I had a conversation with Dan, the owner in Salina, and Jamie here in Southwest yesterday about some things that we're probably going to try to work to roll out. I got to get with the owners on that will be other things that are done on a professional level. When I say professional, I don't mean indoor professional. I mean, outdoor things, as far as you see it in basketball, soccer, big time things that I'd like to have us do this year that would also be, I don't think they've been done indoor yet. So it'd be the first to do that. That is going to be great for our fans. It's just a matter of rolling these things out. You obviously have to look at the logistics and approval, but again, it will give you, as a fan of Pueblo, living where you live, just as good a chance as, to be quite honest, Krish, you could have the same chance living where you live with no team around you to get this opportunity. And if I get it approved and we get this announced, it's going to be when you guys are like, wow, that's pretty cool. So, and I see Negron's in the chat. Negron was talking to me yesterday about it. I mean, it's a great opportunity to get the fans involved and show them what the league's about. That's the key. Fan engagement, man.
That is what it's about. Fans make indoor football go round, So definitely think that all these moves are very smart. And, one of the things that I really liked about the NAL shop, that it just seems like a common sense type thing, like that should have been always done. But this is like the first league to do it. And it just never made sense to me. I mean, now fans can go and literally make one purchase to get 8 different shirts if they want, rather than, going to 8 different stores and spending an hour and a half ordering shirts from every team in the league if that's what they want to do. So, like I said, just common sense type thing that I've never understood why it hasn't been done yet.
One thing that's going on, Sam, just so you know, there's links there, I believe, but I don't know if they're active. Some of the things that are coming on, we're waiting on our mini helmets to come in. So that'll be coming in, I think. And everybody's asking, just so you guys know, the people at the store are asking me, hey, people are asking for these. Those are coming in the next week or two. I hope, again, this is Rydell. So we're not working just by ourselves here. So we're working with Rydell to make sure that happens. Then you've got the jerseys. So we're finalizing with Go Sports all the jerseys that the leagues are going to have, teams are going to use this year. So then we'll have replica jerseys, fan jerseys going up. We're going to have game footballs going up. So the key there is exactly what you said. There's a lot of guys, and I don't know, I'm going to give a name, and he's on social. So if he's watching, great. If not, you guys can tag him in this. Stephen, I'm going to say his last name, Bedard, I believe is his last name. This man loves collecting NAL footballs. But the problem they found is that they have to go to every single team to get a football. Now you're literally going to be able to go and click on the website. And if you want a football from the 2026 season for every NAL team, you just click it, put it in your cart, and you've got it. So we're making it so that there's no way that all the fans that want these things that say they can't find them cannot get them. I mean, that's going to be amazing for people to do, because I know that we get messages all the time.
What's the reasoning for not having a press release for Columbus and Wheeling leaving? That's an interesting question.
They actually were still looking at the opportunity of returning. So there's no desire for a press release from them. They asked for us not to. So that was requested from the team.
Absolutely.
So
People are
we still have great relationships with Duffy and Wheeling. Obviously, he's a great guy and a good owner. And then obviously Richard in Columbus with Casey as well. And I believe they brought on another partner. The new partner is new this year. But we have great relationships with them. I could call those guys right now. There's no issues, no problems, nothing going on there.
Awesome. Always glad to hear that. I mean, keeping the door open for potential, come back together at some point is a good idea.
Absolutely.
This world is too small. Can't burn those bridges.
No, not at all.
Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Commissioner. We really appreciate it. We have some other guests waiting for us, so definitely want to get you out of here and let you enjoy the Dodge City sights and, before you catch your flight.
Oh, I'll be in your area in a little bit. I'm getting ready to fly into Colorado.
Awesome.
So thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure, and thank you so much for joining us.
All
right. Talk to you later. All right, we're going to hit a quick commercial break, and then we'll welcome on free agent coach James.
Sorry
about that. Sorry, Krish, you did ask. Go ahead.
So, me, I love to do my rankings and my ratings and everything. Some might say this is a little bit too early, but I'll do it again. But I'm always right, so it doesn't matter anyway. So, basically, this is the Omaha Beef roster ratings. I know Coach Negron is in here, so I have to, drop it. I'll go position by position. They're done out of 5, so like college recruiting, 1 to 5. We'll start with O-line. I gave the whole group a 5, position group-wise. D-line, I gave them a 5, perfect D-line. I love, DeAnthony Hall-Steele, Brandon Munoz coming over from the IFL. Jayshon Washington, that D-line will be dominant. It'll be the best D-line in the NAL. Kicker, I gave a 3. That position is still undecided for them. But normally, most likely, if they go get a rookie kicker per se, it's going to be a 3. You know what I mean? It's going to be average. So, just that transition into the indoor game can be hard. So I just gave them a 3 on that. DB, I gave them a 5. I think their DB room is dominant. Their DBs are going to be locked down. So now this is where things get kind of, it's shaky, right? The linebacker room. They signed Craig Travis. Craig Travis on my chart is a 2 out of 5. He doesn't fit the indoor game. I'm privy to know the other linebacker they're signing. I gave him a 3, so I gave them a 2.5 at that position. They need to add some more depth at linebacker. Running back is the same thing. David Ross, amazing tight end. I have my opinion that, him as a running back, he's a 3 out of 5. He's better as a receiver, in my opinion. So I gave him a 3 out of 5. And Devon Harris, he graduated college 3 years ago, and he played semi-pro since then. So for me, I gave him a 2, right? Because we don't know. And then wide receiver is a 5. I love that group together. And then quarterback, Coach Negron is really high on P.J. Thomas. I made my opinion clear. I think P.J. Thomas is an amazing man, but he's coming off an ACL injury from a developmental league. So just to be honest, I give him a 2 on my chart. And then Demery Croft, I think Demery is good. He's solid, but as a passer, he's a little rough around the edges. His completion percentage the last 3 years is hovering under 61%, and average yard per play is 7.3. Right, so to give you an idea, the quarterback Negron have worked with in the past, their average yard per play have been over 8.7. So it's a little bit of a drop off there, and so I gave Demery Croft a 3.5. So quarterback is a 3. It's a rounded to a 3. So so far I think Omaha are looking good. I think their biggest deficiencies is running back and linebacker. I'm really concerned about the linebacker room, deeply concerned. The running back room will come along itself, but linebacker, like. I said this in our chat. They'll be in the linebacker market by week two. So you gotta go get better linebacker, man. It's rough.
Man, speaking of burning bridges, little did we know we just burnt the bridge with the beef right there. No, just kidding. But we're gonna hit a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with Coach James Fuller. Really excited to speak with him once again. Relocated there. How's it going, Coach?
All right. How you doing, brother?
Doing great. Thank you so much for joining us. Very excited to have you back on. It's been a little while.
No problem, my man. No problem.
Definitely.
What's
So,
up,
Krish, I know you're a big fan of Coach Fuller. I'll let you kick off the questions on this one.
Man, great to see you, Coach. It's been a while.
Good to see you, man. Haven't seen you in a while, brother. Glad you're doing well. How's your mama doing?
Good. Everyone's doing well. It's good to see you. I think my question for you, kind of started off is you're entering this free agency process, right? And, with everything, it comes a price and you're negotiating that. How is that process going for you? And how much of it is, a situational fit at this point in your career?
It's definitely situational fit now, there's a couple ways you can look at it. It could be situational fit or you're just coaching to coach, and I just don't like coaching to coach, you want to stay relevant, you want to stay out there, but you definitely not all jobs are good jobs, so you just got to be careful on what you're doing. But I can coach with just about anybody, as long as you're competent, football, what you're doing. So finding a staff that you can take your talents to isn't as hard as it may be for me. But you got to still be picky about what you do, so you don't get into a situation to where you're ready to run out the arena after 3 games.
That makes perfect sense. And a man like you, who has garnered the recognition that you have at this point, you definitely have the power to be a little picky, I think, and you've earned that. So I definitely think if at this point in your career, it makes sense that you would be a little bit picky about where you're going to coach in 2026. But
yeah, but now beggars can't be choosy now. That's another thing too. So if you really want to coach, you really want to get out there. You'll take what's there. But like I said, I put 28 years into this, 27 years into it. So, I gotta check it out.
Absolutely. A couple guys you coached or coached with in the past in the chat. Brandon Negron says, yes, the GOAT.
Yes,
CJ Kim says, the man, the myth, the legend, great coach and mentor, even better person. And then Charles chimes in and says, love that Desperados helmet in the background, coach.
Yes, old school. And to Negron, Donna. You don't know what that means.
I have no doubt. But I have to ask, I mean, we're going back a little bit here, but a couple years ago, you were the head coach of the Carolina Cobras, and you made the decision. Excuse me, sorry about that. You made the decision to go from being the head coach of Carolina over to San Antonio as the offensive coordinator. And I've never really, I think, sat with you and asked you what led to that decision for you, and what was it about San Antonio that drew you in?
Well, the first thing was I wasn't really sure of the direction of Carolina. Remember, they were switching over and kind of merging with the other leagues, and I just didn't know which way they were going, And then, they had Negron in their backyard, who's a great friend of mine, is my boy, and I kind of knew if they'd be in good hands there anyways. And there was an opportunity, it was an opportunity to do something different, challenge myself a little bit more in this game of football, which we want to do. And Coach Manas, who's been nothing but good to me, and everything he's done. We were talking a little bit, as the season was getting over, and I kind of knew he'd get a job somewhere, and he always wanted to work with me. I wanted to work with him at some point. So he called me and was like, hey, let's go and let's try something new. And I wanted to test myself a little bit.
Makes sense. Krish, do you have any more questions?
Yeah, Coach Fuller, I kind of wanted to ask you about this year, with the quarterback situation. Obviously, you started with Malik, you went to Guy Myers, and then you finally finished off with Jaquan Collazo. If you kind of had to go back and explain that whole situation, was the original plan obviously to make Malik the starter for the whole year? How did that change, and how did you adjust on the fly?
Well, it was just an odd situation altogether. We had talked all season. I know myself and Coach Bain had been talking all offseason about just trying to change the quarterback room, because we were stuck in a situation where we had 3 quarterbacks in there and 2 were vets. So you're going to have to keep a rookie, you know what I mean? And that doesn't breed competition. The guy's going to get the job just by default, because you can't have 2 vet QBs. So, we should have went into camp with 1 vet who you think could start, and then 2 young guys, and let them fight over the job. But that didn't happen. Can't cry over spilled milk. But then we had a shot to get Malik, and I wanted Malik because he knew the system. He knew my system. He could call the plays. What I didn't know is how that would translate from the arena game to the IFL game. Is he going to pull his own reads? Can he run counters? Things like that. And Malik just struggled a little bit with that. You know what I mean? It's just a different game than he's used to. We know he has all the arm talent in the world. He can read coverages. He can throw a great ball. He's tough. He just struggled a little bit with the zone read game. And I think that's where his issue was, if I had to do it all over again, I'd have brought Collazo, would have been in camp with me from the beginning, and, would have probably ended up as the starter going into week 1. Good guy. Still has some learning to do, still makes some little young mistakes, but has that moxie, has that ability to learn. And, it was tough on him because, you got to remember, we're going through a season and he's trying to learn a playbook. He's trying to fly the plane while building it. You know what I mean? So he doesn't get all that training camp reps and all that. So I think he'll have a great year this coming up season. But I think he had a tough year for us at the beginning last year, just because, he's trying trying to learn the offense and play and scout at the same time.
That's a good point there.
I want to ask you too, Coach, obviously you coached in the NAL when it was at its peak, right? Top days of the NAL. But you're in the IFL now. You were in the IFL. Talk to me about just the landscape of indoor arena football and how dominant do you feel the IFL is compared to the other leagues?
IFL is just strong, I think it's more so having teams that have been in the league for a while, just kind of solid, kind of like Albany is up there. And, you get these solid teams. If you can get enough solid teams, that league's going to survive through anything, and the way they do things, I think it's more uniform, throughout the league. So it just puts out a better product. The Arena One League, I think looks pretty good too. I mean, if you look at the championship game, it was fantastic. It was a great game. The venue was packed, So, I mean, I don't take nothing from the AF1 game at all either. I just think they got some things to build on a little bit. But the landscape of arena football right now, I think is pretty strong. I think it's pretty strong with having the AF1, IFL, and then you have the NAL making some moves. But you can definitely tell the product that teams are putting out in these different leagues has gotten a lot better in the last few years.
Can definitely agree with that. And honestly, this offseason in particular has been one of the most exciting to follow along with because of some of the moves that are happening. It seems like something big is coming for arena football in general. It seems like we're kind of trending back upward, which is always awesome. From your perspective, I mean, obviously you've coached in basically a little bit of every style. You've experienced all the different rule sets. Is there a rule set that you prefer, or to you coaching and you just want the right situation?
I just want the right situation. I like the IFL game, because it does challenge you a little bit more as far as the run game's concerned. But I mean, I grew up on the AFL game, been in the AFL all my career, except for the last few years. So, I mean, it's I don't really prefer either one. I prefer who's in the league, the challenges in the league. I never want to get into a league where it's just, roll the dice and let's play. And it's, 1 week you're playing to a 50-50 tie, and the next week you're beating the team by 70. You know what I mean? I don't want that. I want a little bit more leagues with parity, just so it challenges everybody. One slip and you could be out of the playoffs. That's the kind of things I like.
That's a fair point. Go ahead, Krish.
Yeah, Coach Fuller. I mean, I know this is kind of a strange question, but, for you, ever since I've known you, you kind of pride yourself on development, right? You want to develop the guys on and off the field. With this whole San Antonio situation, you've been with Bane for a while. Like, how proud of him are you, as his coach, to see, and how much do you feel he's ready for this new opportunity?
Bane's a smart guy, man. The thing that Bane does is he loves the game. He loves football. He loves the game. He puts in the work. No doubt he can be the man as far as X's and O's. It's all the little things of being a head coach. It's all you got to put on like 5-6 hats. During a day. As a head coach. So that's the biggest things I think for him being a head coach. I'm proud of him. He's like a son to me. I've got him right out of college in 14 or 15. We've been tight ever since. We've been through a whole lot, a lot we could say, a lot we can't say. So I'm proud of him, I'm proud of him, how he stepped up, the things he's done for me as a player and as an assistant coach. So, I'm looking forward to big things from him in the future.
And what a lot of people don't realize is, you in San Antonio, you faked Jaden Delore in his first IFL start when he was in Vegas. Kind of when you played him, you guys ended up, falling short in that game. But kind of you've been around this game for a while. What stood out to you about him as quarterback?
His ability to extend plays on a short field. You know, his ability to extend plays on the short field and always keep his eyes downfield. You know, it's a tough thing to do when you have that free blitzing linebacker, you know, especially if you're in empty formation. So I think his ability just to kind of create, you know, throws a very good ball, tough, but he's also got that quiet confidence, and you can see that his team, you know, kind of falls in behind him. And he's just a winner. You know, you look at his career, you look where he's been, you know, you look at the different schools he played for. Always tried to win, always was winning, always fighting, you know, and he carried that on to win him a championship this year.
Interesting questions, Krish. I was not expecting to hear a question about Jaden DeLora in this one, but Coach, obviously you talked about a little bit ago there. You know, on one hand, you're very proud of Bain for being able to give the opportunity, but I think some of us just expected that you were going to be the head coach there. So, I mean, how was it dealing with that situation? Like being proud of Bain on one hand, but at the same time, slightly, you know, maybe disappointed that you didn't get the role yourself.
Yeah, it was a tough deal. You know, I mean, you know, it's just so hard to put your finger on it. You know what I mean? It just, sometimes, you know, things happen for certain reasons. Could be financial, could be something else, you know, but, you know, if you look at it as a whole, you know, we were moving on, you know, you're told to sign guys, you know, you signed about 10 guys or so. You know, I just thought that part of it was kind of BS, you know what I mean? Because why put them guys in a situation to where they're already signed? What if they didn't want to play there? You know, what if they wanted to play with me or go with me somewhere? And I'm not saying that they did, you know, I'm just saying, what if, you know, you don't do that to guys, you know, that's just not how you do it, you know? And then, you know, it was just kind of weird shakeup, you know what I mean? And I know it puts Bain in a tough situation, you know, because what does he say to me? You know, you know, what do you say to your mentor and, you know, the guy who's been, you know, and your sidekick by your, you know, in the hospital with you 5 or 6 times, you know, through your whole career, and you know what I mean, and all that kind of stuff, and who's basically been a father figure to you, you know. It's just, I bet it's a tough situation for him as well, you know, but you know, you always want to go places where you're wanted, and if a team don't want you, hey, that's their loss. I know what I could do. So, you know, I'm not worried about that. And if, you know, I get a chance to come back to San Antonio, you know, we'll see what's up.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Obviously, you know, last season, it feels so long ago at this point, but in the 2024 season, you coached an offense that was putting up astronomical numbers with Sam Castronova at the helm. And I mean, it was insane to watch. He was carving up the IFL unlike I've ever seen before in my time of covering and watching the league. So how difficult was it going from Sam Castronova to this season with the quarterback turnover that you had to kind of work your way through?
Well, it was difficult because me and Sam already had a relationship, even though it was a short relationship. We already had a relationship, and I already kind of knew what he could do playing against him and all that, you know. He has a high IQ. He could run the ball. And we just didn't have that dynamic, you know. We just didn't have that dynamic going into camp, you know. So it was frustrating because things, you know, the reads and all that, you know, are there, and you're not having guys hit it. It's frustrating, you know. And in the IFL game, you know, if you're not taking 3 and 4 and 5 yards here and there, you know, you're going to end up having to kick field goals, and you'll lose every game, you know, and we weren't doing that early enough. And no, that's how our offense is successful, is, you know, you take what they give you, the zones and the coverages they give you dictate to where you go. We don't just pick, hey, one guy, hey, throw it to him, you know what I mean? And we were just making them reads. The short reads would allow you to throw deeper later, you know, and we were doing it a little backwards, you know, whereas last year, you know, we were really good at running the ball 3 yards, throwing the ball for 4, you know what I mean, and staying in manageable third down situations. We just didn't do that at the beginning of the year.
Makes sense. So I wanted to give you an opportunity, and you could take it or leave it. If you don't want to, that's fine. But for any teams that may be watching out there, any ownership groups that are still looking to fill their head coaching vacancies, I mean, what do you bring to the table? I mean, obviously, I have my opinions. I think you're a great coach, but what do you feel you bring to the table that other coaches may not, for organizations out there looking for the next head coach?
Well, experience, 20, 27 years of coaching experience. I've been in, the NFL coaching. I've been on every level coaching possible, whether I'm a player or a coach. I've been coached by some of the best coaches out there, from my NFL career, to coaching in Dallas with the Desperados with Will McClay, who's at the Cowboys, to doing my internship with the Patriots with Bill Belichick and Romeo Cornell and all them guys, and Mangini, Charlie Wise, all them guys. So it's the knowledge and then just the grit. The one thing that anybody who's coached with me will know about me is you will not outwork me. You won't happen. I don't sleep during the season. That's what I do. I coach football. So it's definitely, you're going to get somebody who's going to punch the clock, who's going to put out character guys, guys who want to win and guys who want to do it the right way. But you're also going to see a coach develop guys and want to know more about your guys than just, a piece of meat and being on the field. I pride myself in being a guy who's a father figure to guys. I'm firm, but I'm fair. And I'm not afraid to make decisions that, that have to be made, and I think that I have the respect of the players, maybe because I have played, because I have been in some different situations that other coaches have. And we've always been able to develop guys, everywhere I've been able to develop teams and develop guys and turn it around and at least give us a shot to get into the ship.
Absolutely. Krish, do you have any more questions?
Coach, I wanted to ask you, obviously you've seen this from multiple different lenses, right, as a player yourself. Naquan Murray, right, he kind of resets the market value for receivers in the indoor game. When you look at the idea of player pay, where would you like, as a coach, where do you see that going within the next 5 years?
Well, it's all tough, you know what I mean? Because there has to be some marketing things, so some of the teams that are in smaller markets can benefit. It's kind of like the NIL deals, if you got these small colleges who can't pay, you're not going to get the best guys, and I just think it has to be a wage that the players can live off of, but at the same time, it has to be a wage where the teams can function. And it's a tough deal. The one thing I would like to see is if everybody could kind of come into a room and decide on a way to do it to where, you don't feel like teams are doing this under the table and that under the table. And that's always been an issue in these leagues, since I came out in '99, so I just need a fair wage, a fair wage. I can't say what it is. Teams are different. It's just what you can pay, how much money you got in the bank. Some teams are a little bit more wealthy than other teams. Some teams have better merch sales. Some teams get parking, they get concession, they get tickets. And some don't. So it all just matters on kind of what you get as a team. But I think the biggest thing is, and I've always said this, is if you give a decent pay, but your housing is great, and you do things for the players, meals and things like that, then that takes a lot off the players. You know what I mean? So if you can't pay a legitimate salary for these guys, then at least make sure their housing and their living situation is up to par.
I think that's completely fair. I have to ask, obviously you see all the Eagles gear behind me. I'm a huge Eagles fan. So I wanted to ask, I mean, obviously you got to play for the Eagles in 1996, I believe it was. And you got to play under, some of the legends in the NFL. Ray Rhodes is the head coach. Emmett Thomas, the defensive coordinator. John Gruden was the offensive coordinator there. I mean, shoot, to take that a couple steps further, I mean, there were future GMs and head coaches on the roster with you. And talk to me a little bit about that environment for the Eagles at that point, you know, under Ray Rhodes and one of the greatest defensive minds in the NFL.
Ray Rhodes is by far my favorite coach. He was a tough guy, but he cared about you. You know, he cared about his players. He would take the heat rather than you take the heat. And he'd tell us every day, you know, if you don't want to talk to him, let me go out there and talk to him, you know, and you know how Philly fans can be. So, you know, it was a tough environment, but to be able to play, and I look at it today and I still talk to my buddies about it, to be able to play on that team right there with all that talent, William Fuller, Farmer, Troy Vincent, Taylor in the secondary. Shoot, Brian Dawkins was his rookie year. Rodney Peete. You know, we had some really good ball players, but the environment was crazy environment. And by then I had already played a few years in the league, so you kind of know what to do. And it was a great time to be an Eagle then, because I mean, we had some great young ball players, and it showed how good of men they were too when you look at where a lot of them are today. You know, it just shows. And that was by far my favorite spot to play ball. More so also because we had a good camaraderie with the team, you know. I mean, I think about all the guys on that team, man. Ricky Waters, Charlie Garner, you know. I mean, Ty Detmer. Yeah, I mean, we had some ball players. It was a great time to be an Eagle.
No doubt that roster is kind of like a who's who of players in the NFL. So especially that secondary, you know, with you involved. So
Zordich, Farmer, JT. Yep. Oh man, we had some good ball players. It was a fun time.
Absolutely. Krish, do you have any more questions for Coach Fuller?
Coach, I just want to clarify. You're currently coaching high school football in Washington or Oregon?
I'm not coaching high school this year. Okay. I took this year off, but I coach in Oregon. I've coached at Grant High School for, over 10 years, 12 years. That's a Domkin Sue's high school. And we put out some good ball players in my time there. But I wanted to take this year kind of off just because I didn't know kind of what was going on coaching-wise with me. So I just wanted to take some time to kind of soak up everything and figure out, you know, my next move.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Makes perfect sense.
I'm from Washington, Seattle, but I live in Oregon. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. Anything else, Krish? Awesome. Coach Fuller, thank you so much for your time this morning. We really appreciate it. Would love to have you back on in the near future. You know, hopefully very near future after you're hired as a head coach somewhere. You know, I'm sure it's coming in the very, very near future. But wish you the best of luck in 2026 and beyond. And just have really appreciated our time getting to know you. You've been nothing but gracious to us. So we really appreciate everything you've done for us as well.
Well, I appreciate y'all. You guys are some stand-up guys, man. Every time I speak to y'all, you guys know what you're talking about. You put on a good show, and I got nothing but mad respect for y'all, man. Bless you.
I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. On that note, we're going to hit a quick commercial break, and we'll be back with EJ Burt. Thank you once again, Coach.
Tell EJ I said, what up?
Will do. Coach Burt, welcome back, sir. Really appreciate having you on this morning.
What's going on, fellas? Appreciate you guys having me on.
Absolutely. And if you didn't hear it right when you were coming on, James Fuller says, how's it going? He was very excited to hear you were coming on.
That's my boy. Yeah. I have to hit him up after I get off the show.
Very nice. Perfect guest for Arena Goat Talk. So speaking of which, I'm going to drop the link in the chat here in a moment. If anybody was not aware, Coach Burt has been doing a podcast with a lot of great guests recently called Arena Goat Talk. You can follow him on Twitter, YouTube. I think it's on LinkedIn as well. Any other platforms I didn't hit right there?
Instagram and also Facebook.
Perfect. So obviously, you've had quite the year. You came into the year obviously as the head coach of the Orlando Predators, and due to some unforeseen circumstances, they ultimately decided to shutter for the season. Now, obviously, I don't want to ask about something that was obviously a tough situation, but I mean, can you kind of take us through that whole scenario that has kind of led you up to the point where you're now at podcasting and looking for your next opportunity coaching?
Well, I don't want to get into too many details. There's still things out there. But with the Preds, we were headed into the season, and the doors got closed on us, and just looking for. They're looking to sell the team and all that stuff. So again, I'm not going to dive into those details, but that just end up helping my guys find teams to go play for, and I didn't want to sit around waiting for things to happen. So that's why I dove into the podcast. The whole idea about the podcast is there's so many great players, coaches, personalities as far as the history of arena football. Everybody has stories that that's not told. You know what I mean? You see all these platforms that talk about NFL guys and their stories. With arena, we got our stories, we got our history. There's guys that I want people to know about. There's games like the confetti game and different Arena Bowl stories. I want those stories to get out. So, I started the Arena Goat podcast. I also have the AIFL, which is basically an arena style flag football league, which is served like a regional combine. Like I want to get guys opportunities and just finding different ways to present opportunities and be of service to guys. And right now I kind of, I try my best to try to help out players that are looking for opportunities. I try to help out coaches who are looking for guys, just trying to be of service, whether I'm going to coach again or whether I just want to be the person that I want my guys to end up being, just make sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, I wanted to dive into that for a minute. I was recently telling somebody that I had kind of crossed paths with you and EJ Manuel, or sorry, not EJ Manuel. It's Marcus Manuel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Marcus Manuel in the past in kind of helping players get landing spots. And I really thought it was a stand-up move by both of you guys that immediately when the news came out about the Predators, it seemed like you guys pivoted and it went from we're building a football team to we're helping these guys get other positions. And I wanted to highlight that because I think oftentimes coaches that are caught in that situation, they might focus on themselves, and obviously so, right? You just lost your livelihood. There's a lot of different things that you could focus on, in terms of your own life, but you guys went out of your way to fix the situation for the players or try to do your best to set them up. And I thought that was just like I said, it was a stand-up move. To me, I had already respected you because of our interactions. You've always been a really nice guy to deal with and everything like that, but that move to me was just classy as could be. And I really wanted to say, thank you from a fan's perspective, because that reminded people that in my eyes, there's really good people in this game. When we get a lot of bad rap from people that maybe do things the wrong way, you guys were out there doing things the right way. And really it echoed with me, with a lot of coaches out there and stuff like that. So I wanted to kind of give you your flowers for that. And then also Coach Manuel as well.
Appreciate that. Again, you just try to be the person that you want your guys to end up being, or let your character show. You are what you continually do. So, I want those guys to see that, there are stand-up guys out there, and, let your character show. And, if you're a good guy and you're trying to do things, your character must show that.
I agree. Chris, do you have any questions for Coach Burt?
Yeah, Coach Burt, good to see you. I'm excited for you and your new potential opportunity. I wanted to talk more about the podcast. You see a bunch of other podcasts out there. What kind of podcast do you take inspiration from when creating your own platform?
I wasn't really looking for literally I'm looking at the pivot and a couple of these other ones, that kind of highlight NFL stories. And so I have a history in arena football. I've met so many great people, whether I played against them, we were rivals forever, coaches that I played for, or they coached against me. Like, I know that there's so many great stories. And so, the whole idea was to put those stories out there. You know what I mean? So as far as arena football, there wasn't a whole lot of that kind of stuff going. You know what I mean? You have, you guys and a couple, off the wall, that talk about the current events, of current state of arena football. With me, I'm just kind of serving as, helping to put the history out there, let everybody know the history. You know what I mean? That's kind of like my lane. You know what I mean? As far as the recent stuff, you guys are great at that. Off the wall is kind of great at that. Like I said, with me, I'm just kind of sliding in and, putting my resources into it, and, helping to put the story out there. So you have coaches out there like Fuller, you have coaches out there like Kevin Guy, Jay Gruden. Everybody will know who these guys are, but they don't know their history and they don't hear their stories. And that's, we're kind of where my lane is.
I think you've done a great job of getting in some very interesting guests. I mean, like you mentioned a moment ago, Kevin Guy was on the show recently and had some interesting things to say as well. So, shout out to you for that. I think you've really hit your niche on the podcasting series, because it seems like coaches and guests are really, they feel comfortable opening up to you because you've been there, you've seen some of the crazy stories, stuff like that. So I think you're getting out stories that maybe the rest of us in the media world would not. So it's been really interesting to follow along from a fan's perspective. So again, if you have not done so, make sure you go subscribe or follow him on Arena Go Talk on your major platforms, because it's well worth a watch. It's been really interesting to follow along with. But in pivoting a little bit, obviously, you're a coach first. What's your coaching search looked like in terms of your next position so far?
Really, I'm just kind of focusing on me and putting this podcast information out there. There's opportunities out there. But with me, until I find the situation, I'm going to be helping out everybody until my situation shows. You know what I mean? As I'm not an ego-driven guy. I'm not anybody. For me, it's like I'm just going to help out everybody else until my situation's finalized. You know what I mean? That's just my personality. I'm not out there really diving into trying to find a coaching job and all that stuff. I want anybody that comes in contact with me, I want to be able to help everybody. But I've talked to some people, and I'm just waiting for situations to kind of finalize.
Glad to hear it. Can't wait to see you back on the sideline. Obviously, you were always one of my favorite to kind of follow along with, and I was extremely disappointed when week 0 fell apart this year, because I thought that was going to be a really good game between you guys and Southwest Kansas. You had a stacked roster this year, so it's too bad it never happened. But Chris, do you have any more questions?
Yeah, Coach Burt, obviously my final question for you today is, I saw your interview you did with Jared Curtis from the AF1. Talk to me about what you think the state of indoor football is with all the 3 different leagues, and what league kind of stands out to you the most.
I like them all. Of course, my history for the most part is, the AFL. I like all the different options. There's different options for the guys. When I was playing, it was either arena football, Canada, or the NFL for the most part. And so now you got your different options. You got your different styles, whether it's the AFL style, the IFL style of play. So, it's some good ball being played out there. There's more options for the guys, which I like. And, for guys who want to play arena football, again, there's more options out there. And the style of arena, if you're a different, certain kind of player, like a pocket passer or, a top receiver, top DB kind of deal, there's, the arena style, you can go after that. But if you're like a running back, a true running back that doesn't necessarily fit into the arena style, well, shoot, you can go to the NAL and the IFL. There's that style of play for you. So there's more different options for you. And so all the guys that are free agents that are looking, there's a league for you out there. There's a format that fits you best. And so there's no excuse to not get out there and play football.
Absolutely love that message there. I wish more players realized the opportunities available, because sometimes one opportunity can be all you need to get in front of the right eyes, and sometimes that willingness to go play is all it takes to get you in the right situation. So, I'm sure you've seen multiple situations yourself that have kind of led to that as well. So. When you're bringing in players, what's a one trait that you have to have in a prospective free agent for your roster?
One, you have to be a stand-up guy. There's nothing worse than recruiting a guy who has all the tools, but he can't stay his ass out of trouble. You know what I mean? You're going into the game, and next thing you know, this dude got in trouble, and you can't have him in the game because he did something that doesn't represent your team. That can't happen like that. So you got to have a stand-up guy who understands the game or has the tools that we are looking for at certain positions, and then be coachable for us to put you in a position to be successful. You know what I mean? It's like having a quarterback who has all the tools. He doesn't have any arena experience, but he has the tools. As long as he's coachable, you know what I mean? OC can put him in a position to make those plays. You know what I mean? Just be coachable, be a great character. And if you're on our roster, we see the talent that you have. That's stuff that you can't present yourself with. Like, your film's going to tell us if you got the tools. So after that, now let's see what we're going to talk to different guys who know you, coaches who know you. We all us coaches know people who know people. You know what I mean? So your history is gonna pop up. You can't hide. You can't hide your history and what you've done. You know what I mean? We're gonna find somebody. So again, that film is gonna tell us about the talent. Now we got to dive a little bit deeper into your resume. And but that's pretty much it. Be a character. Again, your film's gonna tell us what you can do on the field. You know what I mean? And then from there, just be coachable. A lot of times you're looking for younger guys, and these guys got to be coachable, and then you put them in the right position. That's what you're supposed to do as coaches, put them in the right position to succeed. And as long as that relationship is strong between coaches and players, then we can build something great.
Absolutely. Krish, do you have any more questions? All right. Coach Burt, we really appreciate your time. Sorry about that this morning. Any final words that you want to tell any prospective teams that might be looking at you as a potential head coach?
With me, I have a wealth of knowledge as far as this arena game goes. I have the resources to help back me up, and help strengthen me as a coach. I'm just a guy who just wants to win championships, want to compete for championships, want to put programs on the map, or help programs continue to be successful. Again, I try to be a stand-up guy. So whenever anyone's interested in me, there's people who you can reach out to and ask questions about me. Like I talk about players being able, to withstand that research. I can withstand that research for owners to reach out and say, hey, tell me about this guy. But But again, I have the work ethic to get this thing going, help win championships, and I wanna be part of something nice. And so I'm excited for the future.
Absolutely. Obviously, I know you have some endeavors outside of football. So are you open to moving for the right opportunity, or are you trying to stay in Florida?
It'd have to be the right situation, because I'm a family man and I don't believe in being away from my family. You know what I mean? I don't want to be that coach that's been a very successful coach, but his son don't know him. You know what I mean? It has to be the right situation for me to leave home. And like I said, there's situations out there I'm excited for, and I think I'm on to something.
I have no doubt. Your name has definitely been coming up in multiple conversations I know I've had. So I'm not surprised that you're getting a little bit of interest out there for sure. So hopefully you land on your feet and you find the best possible situation somewhere very stable, so you hopefully can focus on coaching football and not have to worry about the back end stuff anymore, because that happens way too often, unfortunately.
Yeah, it does, but it is what it is. You're a man. You figure this situation out and make sure you're helping people along the way.
Absolutely. I'm a big believer in karma, and I think you got lots of good karma coming your way. So I really hope, like I said, you end up in the best possible situation, and then you land on your feet and find everything you're looking for, because honestly, like I said, I was really, really excited to see what you were able to do in 2025. So hopefully you get another opportunity to be in that position.
All right. Again, appreciate you guys having me on and talking some football, some indoor arena football. And I'm a fan, so I'm gonna keep watching you guys and excited to see what you guys got going on in the future as well.
Really appreciate that. While we're on the subject, do you have your next guest in mind for Arena Goat Talk?
I have a couple. I'm about three weeks deep, so I have a couple players, a couple coaches who have arena and indoor experience. So, if there's guys out there that want their story told, reach out to me. That's all it's about, is telling those guys' story. Arena football, indoor football is great from a whole bunch of different angles that people have never heard of, and that's what I'm here for. Just help people to tell their stories and give advice to guys along the way.
Absolutely. And three guys that have quite a few stories between them are chiming in real quick. Ricky Burt says, character defining moments. EJ's handling of the situation says so much about him as an individual. Would be a great guest for your podcast. Mike Davis, another potential great guest.
Yes, sir.
First class man right there. And then Sean King also tuning in, which this must be because you're here, because I don't think he's ever actually watched one of the episodes, and maybe he watches them, but he doesn't comment. But Sean King also has plenty of stories to tell, I'm sure. So definitely really appreciate your time this morning. Like I said, would love to have you back on in the future anytime you're available. As far as I'm concerned, open invitation. So would love to have you back on whenever you're available, and wish you nothing but the best of luck in the future.
Yes, sir. Again, appreciate you guys, and look forward to the next show, and for us all to tell the good stories of the things we got going on for us.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, on that note, we're going to hit a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back to talk about the rest of the news with the AF1, and then we will get back to another guest. Thank you so much, Coach Burt, and again, best of luck in the future.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys.
Absolutely.
Like three, four times maybe.
I'm gonna pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
Hey,
SeatGeek is the ticketing app for fans like Boomstick Lady. No free throw is safe from the roar of her sticks. SeatGeek helps her find a seat in the direct eye line of the shooter so she can sit where her boomsticks make the biggest boom. Everybody okay? SeatGeek handles the tickets to sports, concerts, and more, so fans can fan.
yeah, it's great having Coach Burt on, man. Just want to let all my IFL guys know, man, 2026, y'all fucked. For real, man. Coach Davis, man, get your strap ready because it's about to be up, my guy. It's about to be up. We on that ass. Best believe.
Oh God, Krish! Every single time, you never fail to make me laugh. I appreciate that. Always got to enjoy the show, and with you, it's hard not to. So, let's get to some of this AF1 news. I mean, there's quite a bit of it. I mean, basically, let's start with Albany. Albany has
I
signed.
mean, Albany Nighthawks, not
Yes.
the Fire, but it's Albany Nighthawks.
That is accurate. The Albany Nighthawks. They had to replenish their roster. From all the guys they lost to the UFL and the CFL, and so they chose the Vegas Nighthawks to start, scooping up some players. So Jerome Johnson, Kevin Toot, and man, I'm blanking the third guy. Who's the third guy that signed there?
Oh, Moses Mallory.
Thank you. There you go. So 2 offensive linemen and a quarterback, which I want to touch on some of these moves because I was a little surprised, right? We've seen Albany mix in some of the quarterback run game, primarily when their quarterback had to scramble, which really hasn't been all that often with Sam Castronova there. But I was surprised to see them sign a guy like Jerome Johnson, who's, in my mind, more of a natural fit in the IFL. What do you think about that fit there with Damon Ware?
Well, I just want to say one thing. This is the exact reason why there'll never be a partnership between 2 teams in 2 different leagues, right? Because, I mean, Coach Davis should be put on Albany's payroll. You know what I mean? Like, these are guys he found, and they didn't just take 1, they took 3, which is crazy. But, I mean, Jerome, man, I mean, I'm shocked. I'm really shocked to see him with Albany. I know Coach Ware well enough to say he probably tried to hit up Jaden DeLora first, and Jaden DeLora didn't answer, so he pivoted. I mean, I think there's a good chance of that. But Jerome, I mean, he has a good arm. Obviously, we know what he can do. He can extend plays. Does he really fit the under center? I mean, I don't really know. I know in the championship game I was there, Albany went with some shotgun, so they might incorporate that a little more. I mean, he's going to have an elite O-line, elite receivers, so he just has to make the plays. I was telling someone this the other day. Dave Williams from Albany, he's one of the boosters over there. I was telling him I think it's still an open quarterback battle between him and Robert McCoy. I think Robert McCoy, he knows Coach Ware's system, and he played incredible. When Robert McCoy played like 15 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 67% completion percentage. He's a dog. So him and Jerome are going to compete for that quarterback 1 spot. It's not going to just be handed to Jerome. But the O-line signings, I mean, Moses Mallory. I love Moses Mallory. Loved watching him play this past year. He's amazing. He's incredible on that O-line. So is Kevin O'Toole. So it's just Albany stacking up the trenches, and that's their game. That's where they're going to be dominant. So it's really good to see.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. That is kind of their game. They have always been, very offensive line focused, and then they kind of build from there. Obviously in a pocket passing game, you got to keep your quarterback upright in order for you to find success. So I'm very curious to see how this all works out for them, because like I said, I didn't think Jerome Johnson was necessarily a natural fit for them, but that doesn't mean that he isn't going to find success in their offense. And that doesn't mean that we couldn't see Albany run a few indoor concepts, to kind of make him feel more at home. But shifting gears a little bit, Nashville seems to be loading up for a championship run. Let's just discuss some of the guys they've signed this offseason. And as of late, with Malik Honeycutt, Justin Sykes, Damian Williams, Stefan Zabi, Anthony Duffy, Nick Evans, Torrance Williams, Jamal Williams, Christian Maddox, Tyler Kolka, Trey Meadows, Todd Simmons Jr., Isaiah Foote. I mean, I could go on and on. They basically have their entire roster built at this point, and every single one of these players is pretty talented and honestly going to put them right back in contention for a championship run in 2026. What do you think about the way Nashville has approached this offseason so far?
I love Duffy, man. I had him on the show. He's a great guy. He's a really talented receiver. He did some great things with Billings. His route running for his size is unbelievable. With a full offseason of work, he can really be dominant in that receiving core. Another one, Malik Honeycutt. I mean, we know what he can do. I mean, obviously, I thought he was going to head over to Albany, honestly. But, he decided to go to Nashville. I mean, that's an amazing. He's from Mississippi, so it makes sense. But Malik Honeycutt, man, I mean, that's amazing to see him there. Another weapon for Coca. What I was telling our boy Ryan, a new member of the network, was like Nashville is going to increase their payroll this year. They are naturally. They have new owners. They're investing, and they're going to go out and get the best players. So they're not done. I hope our bet and them are not done. They're going to add more. I've heard rumors about a potential defensive coordinator. They might be going out and hiring, so keep an eye on that. But it's going to be really exciting. I can't wait to see what this Nashville product looks like. And they have a great fan base. They deserve the best, so I'm excited for them.
I agree, and from where I've heard, from what Ryan has said, season ticket sales are through the roof right now, and that's always great to hear for any team. We're always obviously, advocates for all these teams to succeed. So looking at the next piece of information, you got Kentucky, which is collecting former Outlaws, LaShawn McFarland, Terrence Ames, Jameis Kimbrough, Sidney Houston, and Darius Prince. But they also are bringing in newbies with Shiloh Flanagan, DeAndre Reagan, Brandon Bassett, and Dalton Oliver. So real quick, what are your thoughts on their wide receiver group there with Prince and Shiloh?
Man, I know my boy Coach Thomas is shitting his pants right now after losing Shiloh, man. Oh my God. Shiloh's a great receiver. I don't know how you guys are going to recover over there in Southwest Kansas, dark times. But no, man, Shiloh's amazing. I mean, Shiloh, DP, McFarland, we saw what he did before he got hurt. He was the best fullback in the AF1. Kentucky's good. The only thing I have concerns about is their quarterback room. I think their quarterback room is interesting with Dalton Oliver and Luke Bailey. I think Luke Bailey has a good chance to see the field early. I really do. I think you don't watch out for Luke Bailey, man. That I said it last week. That kid fits the indoor style of play really, really well. So Luke Bailey might see the field early. DP going. I mean, obviously we don't need to talk about DP. He's established. I really love, man. I mean, Coach Walker gets a lot of heat on the outside for no reason because all he does is win. I mean, he put together a really, really good squad year one in Kentucky. The only question mark is the quarterback room, but I think that will kind of mold itself out. I was hoping they would go sign my boy Malik, honestly.
Yeah, there must be some reason why they didn't go that direction. And I don't mean personal issues or anything. Maybe coach thought he could get cheaper quarterback play. I'm not sure. I haven't talked to him about it. But Luke Bailey looks promising. I'm very excited about what he can do in a pocket-style offense. And then I think Dalton Oliver actually fits what they do really well. But without further ado, we're going to welcome on our final guest for today's episode, and that is Coach Dee Milly of the Washington Wolfpack. Coach, how's it going this morning?
Yay. How's everybody doing out there this morning?
Doing well. Thank you so much for joining us. I know it's really early over on your side of the world, so I really appreciate you taking the time this morning.
Man, it's never too early to get up and talk about some good old arena football, any football for that matter. Good to see you guys' faces.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to start off from the outside looking in, it feels like this season's a little bit different for Washington, right? There's been a lot of news coming out. The players you guys are signing, a lot of big name players, a lot of players that seemingly will give you guys a good foundation to be a lot more competitive in 2025. or 2026, I apologize, rather than 2025 and 2024, as well as front office moves that have kind of built up the structure of the team. But I wanted to ask about some of these guys that you guys have brought in so far. I mean, you just went out and signed Mike Fields, who played with the Duluth last season. You went and got hopefully I pronounced his first name right, Javai Magale,
Yes,
Mo
that's correct.
Strong, Justin Olibrice, and even made a move at kicker with Evan Burt. Multiple different other names that I could talk about, but kind of just talk to us about what's changed in Washington and why all of a sudden does it seem like there's a big difference in the way you guys are recruiting.
First of all, I want to say big shout out to the Washington Wolfpack community and the fan base, Coach Gerald Wells, and the ownership group. Man, I am extremely excited. You see, I'm smiling ear to ear with this new venture with the Washington Wolfpack. And yes, we have been bringing in guys. We have been talking to guys constantly on the phone, building those relationships, talking about what we can do better in Washington, even just getting that feedback from them. Like, hey, what are you hearing about us out there? And what does it take for us to get to that next level? Be in that big three conversation, say a la Albany, Nashville, Kentucky, because the coach said Walker's pedigree. And we know we're going to be in that conversation this year. We're marking it down. We're putting it in the universe that Washington's going to be one of those teams that at the beginning of the season, you're like, wow. And at the end of the season, we're like, wow. We are signing some names, a lot more to come. We're still, again, in talks with some guys. The free agency just opened up. We was able to sign back a couple of the Wolfpack that were with this team last year. But some of our new pickups like Michael Fields, you mentioned JoJo Olibrice. I can't wait to see this guy in training camp. Oh, my goodness. He's a wide receiver / running back, but his after the catch radius is off the charts. Again, he played in a different league. So we were looking for guys that really want to be here. You know what I'm saying? Not seeming like someone owes them something. We picked up Big Mo Strong. I've been wanting to work with that guy for about 2 years now, and he has a name in this league. Our quarterback situation is looking really good with the guy that we have him coming in. And also we got some DBs that's coming in, and Coach J.R. Wells brought me over to solidify that defense, give it a little oomph to take us to that next level. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to do that for him.
Absolutely. I'm really excited about Magale because getting you there or getting him there, he's a local guy. He's a Washington product. So it's pretty cool to see him get an opportunity in his home state. Adam Snow chimes in. He says, Coach, who do I got to talk to in order to get a gosh darn Wolfpack mini helmet? I'm just, man, those things would sell like hotcakes. Those are the best looking in any league.
I'm learning, man. A lot of the merchandise, the uniforms, Washington has really been at the top tier of showing teams how to do it, as far as with the marketing and different things. Those mini helmets, I'm not sure of just yet. I'm just now learning everyone's name in the building. But if you go on our website, I'm pretty sure that you can find them on there. If not, try to email me. Find my email and reach out to me, and I should have that answer here within about 4 or 5 days.
Perfect. And Adam, we'll do our part to try and reach out to the Washington ownership because I'm sure those things would sell like hotcakes. Krish, do you have any questions for Coach Millie?
Yeah, Coach, good to see you. Obviously, you talk about Washington. Good to see you, man. You talk about the guys you bring in, right? I kind of want to ask you, though, on a deeper level, right? The culture has already been built for 2 years. We see the results, 4-16, losing, 7+ games by 50 points or more. Now it's kind of, you've been in this game long enough to know it's not going to come down to hype, culture, any of that. It's going to come down to more the X's and O's. Talk about the process of building your playbook for 2026.
Correct. You got to have the correct schemes. What is your playbook looking like? If I could just go back on some things with you guys that really is what's going to help this Washington Wolfpack organization is the relationship I have with Coach J.R. Wells. And this dates back all the way to the year of 2007. Okay. We played in the Intense Football League. And before that, I was under an owner named David Weatherholt. He had a team in Alaska called the Alaska Wild and Intense Football League. And JR was on that team, and I was promoted like a player coach. And during that time, I got to go against JR one-on-ones. We build rapport outside of the football game, off the field. And it leads us to 2025 now, where he's in position as a head coach. And he saw what I've done over the last 4 years out here in Oregon. And he wanted to put one and one together to make it equal two. It's kind of hard in the arena game to find the right type of player. A lot of guys go out looking for the Division I type of player or someone that has played at a high level, but you want someone to know that they're playing in the box. The attitude got to be different. We have motion. It's a little bit different from the IFL or NAL, where we only have one guy in motion, high motion. So with us having those conversations, once my season was over, we could see that was easy fit because we thought a lot alike, going on schematics, going on down in situation, player personnel that we want to bring in. And right now we've been matching eye for eye or comment for comment on the players that we're bringing in. So with the defensive side of the ball, we want to be aggressive. We want to know scheme. We want to know what the other team is doing before they do it. That's a lot of film study. Make sure that when we're at training in Washington, we don't call it practice, we call it training, that we're preparing correctly, not just out there practicing, if that makes sense. So a lot of those fine little integral parts of knowing what's going to happen on 3rd and 5, if they're on the 5 coming out, or if they're on the 20-yard line or the 10-yard line going in, should we be more aware for this situation, or should we be looking out for this? So I'm blessed and very grateful to be working with Coach J.R. Wells this year and bringing Washington to the top level, the top tier in the AF1.
And that's what I kind of noticed when you were an Oregon coach. You competed with some of the highest level teams. It just came down to the mental mistakes. 3rd and 7, busted coverage, 4th and 2, fumble, little things here and there. From a player development standpoint, what are you guys doing in Washington, and how robust is that program for the players once they arrive?
Yeah, we're going to hit it, running. We're going to hit it running, especially this off season. Once we get most of our signees signed, Coach Wells has to go to the league meetings in October, get some information on some stuff. And we're going to start getting into these players. I know I am, especially on the defensive side, teaching them the X's and O's, what we're going to be required to do. As far as myself, I'm big on loafs. You cannot loaf anywhere. How we create turnovers. As far as in my secondary, since I've been coaching, all the way back to '97 when I was first, I saw the arena football game for itself with Coach Mike Hohensee and the Anaheim Piranhas, is creating turnovers. I've been around a lot of great coaches, and if I could just take a second to give a couple of them their flowers, as far as Coach Mike Hohensee, Coach Will McClay now with the Dallas Cowboys, player personnel guys. Those were my first guys that showed me the arena game and allowed me to play, even all the way down to Coach Stan Brock, James Fuller, Freddie Bolitnikoff Jr., Keith Evans when we first started out here 4 years ago in the AFNC League, with the Idaho Horsemen. We had the Oregon High Desert Storm, a lot of Northwest teams. He gave me my first defensive coordinator job. And then to Chuck Jones. Over the last 2 years, I coached Chuck Jones the first 2 years. He was a defensive lineman, all league, great guy. He gave me a chance the last 2 years to come in here to the Oregon, AFL, when we were in Salem with the Oregon Black Bears, the OBB, just last year. And then this past season with the Oregon Lightning. Man, all of those Oregon teams, I had to catch my breath on that. But it has helped me find the talent that I need to be a great coach at this level and to continue. And going on with J.R. Wells, again, building those relationships and not knowing that years later that we'll be working together or coaching on the same sideline.
Honestly, I said it before, and actually it'll be coming up again here in our pre-recorded interview to close out the episode today, but that part of coaching always fascinates me, is the relationship building and how guys will follow each other to stop. So it's awesome to hear that you and JR are able to kind of come back together after so many years apart, and kind of come together on this goal in 2026 to make Washington a lot more competitive. But trust me, from a fan's perspective, it is not lost on us that this is a different year for Washington. So we're all very excited. Like I said, from a fan perspective, You guys have the best looking helmets in the league, any league for that matter. So we're very excited to see Washington, kind of be as competitive as their jerseys are with everybody else for that matter. So also a huge fan of J.R. Wells and think the world of him in terms of a person and a man. You couldn't ask for a better guy to root for, in my personal opinion. So as well as yourself.
We're so close, and I just want to say that as well, just to feedback off of that, man. They have one of the best arenas, the best uniforms, great fans. They tailgate like I don't know what, like it's an NFL team, 35 minutes away from Seattle and the Seahawks. So JR has it all there. We just have to put it together and win games, and they've been so close. And he got a taste to see what Albany was like, the big dogs, by traveling out there the last game of the season. So we're excited about what we can get accomplished this year.
Absolutely, as you should be. Like I said, it's very clearly a different season and a new era for Washington. So we're very excited. Do you have any information? Does J.R. Wills intend to continue playing offensive play or calling offensive plays in 2026?
He is going to call offensive plays. I know I would, with the weapons that you have coming in, and we solidify the offensive line to give him a chance to do what he need to do, because he has the schemes. They work. I played against them for the last 2-3 years, and it always kept me up late looking at film, making sure I have proper guys in the proper position and stuff like that. So you guys stay tuned to what he's going to add to that offense. More to come. And we still have some good signings coming on the defensive side of the ball as well.
Absolutely. And I wanted to take an opportunity and ask you, I mean, if a prospective player wants to come play for the Wolfpack, first of all, how did they get a hold of you? And second of all, what are you looking for when they first reach out in any player that kind of sets them apart from the pack? Because I'm sure your inbox is constantly blowing up with players.
You're right. Right. What I like to tell guys, man, respect is earned, it's not given. Treat this like a real interview, like a real, job interview when you reach out to these coaches or myself or Coach J.R. Wells. We're not hard to find. You can DM us. I don't have a direct number in Washington. I'm still living in Oregon, as you can see by the back skies there. But you can reach out through the DM. What we're going to have, excuse me, I don't want to go too fast. We're going to have a tryout sometime November. We haven't set a date yet. I know some teams are starting October, but we want to see what we got coming back from Washington and also what's out there in the free agent market before we go to a tryout. We do plan on probably signing 1 or 2 players out of that tryout, but it's not a must. We're looking for elite players. I know guys all the time, what is elite? I can play at this level. I can play in the box. We're looking for situational players, man, with a high IQ. All right, because anybody can run, anybody can lift weights, but what is your football IQ? We'll watch that on the film as well. The quality of film. Please don't send us any bootleg film where you got your little brother filming it, he's filming the trees, and then you try to edit in a one-handed catch. We've seen it all. We've seen it all. So really try to focus in on being respectful when you call. Don't be like, hey, bro, how you doing? Coaches have been really putting in work to earn their name and to be respected. And if we can get that, you'll get a fair shake and a fair look. Everybody can't come in. You only can bring in about 35 guys to camp, slim that down to 24. You have 3 or 4 practice guys and then 21 on game day. So there's not room for everybody, but there is room if you can ball.
Absolutely. Krish, do you have anything else for Coach? No, I'm sorry. I didn't. Okay, perfect. On that note, Coach, really appreciate your time this morning. Any final thoughts for fans or anybody you want to shout out before you get out of here?
Yeah, just that roll call of coaches, man. I just wanted to give them their flowers if they're going to be able to listen to this this podcast or whatever. Fans, please get excited. Go buy your tickets when they get ready to get launched, probably after the first of the year. And players, if you are interested in becoming part of the pack, reach out to me, reach out to Coach Wells. Be on the lookout for the tryouts. Get to these other tryouts. Just don't try to just be with one team. Have some options, because a lot of teams are doing tryouts, and go give it all you got. Just don't get off the couch and just go and just think this is just a backdoor lead. We play for real, We're playing for keeps, and we're playing for the championship up here in the Northwest.
Coach, out of curiosity, I'm not sure if this is something you've even thought about discussing yet, but is there any possibility of Oregon and Washington kind of working together on a tryout at any point?
We have not. We have not. I know last year, Coach Jones invited Coach Wells down to our tryout, and he did come down and watch our tryout and took some notes. I think he was so excited about football. I think I saw him down there throwing the football with the quarterbacks. And then the same thing with Coach Jones. He went and helped out with Coach Wells last year. Watched, see what type of talent is out there in the Northwest, type of deal. But we haven't talked about anything with combining. Far as both of those teams.
It might be an idea. I'm just saying you might garner some more players up there if it's two teams at once.
Exactly.
But definitely love the fact that you guys still have a tight relationship. I honestly couldn't speak higher about Coach Jones or Coach Wells for that matter. Both of them are high energy guys and just great guys that you want to root for. So
we really love being in the AF1. We really love being in the F1 with Jerry Kurtz and everything that Jeff Fisher and those guys are doing over there. So we love it.
Absolutely. Real quick before you get out of here, talk to us a little bit about the ownership group in Washington. I've heard really good things. They seem to be really down to earth people. They take care of their guys. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, the ownership group is called, Washington One Community. We're very, I want to say they are, because I'm part of the group now. We're very invested in the community, getting out to the kids, getting out to the people that can't attend the games, that love football through the sport of arena football. The ownership group, I haven't really sat down with them and talked. We talked over the phone. I guess my resume was good enough for them to offer me the job, which is a blessing. But I can't wait to sit down and have a steak dinner with those guys and see what their views and their visions are, not just for this year, but for the next 2-3 years to come. We know there's movement with different leagues, teams leaving, teams coming in. I can't wait for them to announce any other teams that are coming into AF1. It's most likely going to be in October. So I know some fans are always like, man, what's going on? But our ownership group isn't nervous in no kind of way. They haven't flinched, and they're ready to stand up with the big boys, and they're giving us everything we need to just go win the ship, myself and Coach Wells. So that's all you need is just the backing. The players have great housing. They eat when they want to and need to. Their checks on time. I have never heard about anyone getting a late check or not getting paid. As you said, the uniforms are off the chain. The arena is really cool. We just got to get that thing filled up, and we're going to be all right. And I'm going to stand on business and make sure I do my part, and Coach Wells will too, that the ownership group keeps us around for years to come, and we build something awesome.
I love it. I love it, Coach. Thank you so much for your time this morning. I really appreciate you coming on so early with us and sharing the post and everything. And that was really appreciated.
No, thank you guys for all that you do, man. You guys are awesome. Keep doing what you're doing, kicking butt.
Thank you so much for that as well. And we would love to have you back on, maybe sometime during the season.
I would love to. when we're about 3 or 4-0.
All right. Sounds good. I'll make sure to hit you up right after the undefeated streak.
Yes, sir.
All right. On that note, we're going to hit one more commercial break, and we will be right back to discuss some more news before we close it out with a pre-recorded interview with Kyle Moore Brown of the New Mexico Chupacabras.
How is he still gonna call the offense, man? I mean, come on, really? Like, no disrespect, man. Like, I like him as a guy, but like 18 points a game, man. Really? Like, that is crazy, dog.
Only you would immediately follow up with that while our other guest is still in the green room, no less. But okay. Real quick shout out. Thank you, Omaha Beef. We really appreciate the gear. It is top notch. I've been wearing my shirt left, right, and center. Definitely go check out Goat Sports Marketing. I've dropped the link in the chat 3 separate times already today. So hopefully you guys are out there buying your Omaha Beef gear. And while you're at it, go check out the NAL shop, man. I literally have talked about it a lot on this show. I'll talk about it a lot more. This common sense move for the league to put all the merchandise in one location was such a good idea that it should have been happening years ago. But now you can go on, you can get shirts or merchandise from every single team in the league, and it won't be an issue whatsoever. You don't have to track down 8 different websites and 9 different promo codes and all the different situations to get that purchase. So I really like that. Shout out to those guys. Sorry about that. So there's some more information for us to get to before we get off of here. Mainly the IFL moves that have been going around recently. We didn't really have time to talk about the IFL today, but let's discuss this. I mean, Claude Davis was recently traded from Vegas to Tulsa. What are your thoughts on that move?
Yeah, I mean, my boy Anson, he's going to beef up that D-line, man. I mean, Anson Yarbrough, he's a dog, so I knew what he was going to do down there. But now Claude is huge. They got Claude. I think Big U is coming back. I saw on his Instagram. So it's good. I mean, that D-line will be dominant. I think that D-line will be really good for them next year. And they're trying to build those trenches. That D-line was not good last year. Not good. Like they got ran all over by Green Bay and even us when we played. When we played Tulsa at home, we ran the ball 27 times against them. So they were never good against the rush. They got also a linebacker. They got Dylan Petaway coming back too. So that's a huge move for them. Bringing a young player back with a really high ceiling. Excited for him. But so it's a good move for sure.
I agree. I think anytime
I did want to clarify though. I misspoke. The offensive lineman that went to Vegas was not Moses Mallory. It was Kevin O'Toole. So I looked at the Instagram and then no Moses Mallory on there. I think I misspoke. But I thought I saw him the other day. But yeah, I must have misspoke.
That's fair. I swear there was 3 players that had signed and another one that was already talking to him, I guess.
Cheesy. I think it was Cheesy.
Cheesy. Thank you. Dear Lord. I don't know why I forgot that. But yes, Cheesy Umanakwe signed there. He is from New York. Kevin Toot, I believe, is from New York as well. And then Jerome Johnson is also from the upper Northeast. So
he's from DC, Maryland.
There you go, DC. So, I mean, on that note, I mean, obviously it's never a good thing. Anytime a team loses that kind of talent in one fell swoop, but at the same time, at least those guys are getting to play a little bit closer to home. So, hopefully they can help pack out the it's MVP arena there, right?
Yes.
That's what I thought. Okay, so moving on to our next big information. Honestly, lots of information tied to Vegas today. Mike Davis has signed a 4-year contract extension to remain with the Vegas Nighthawks for the foreseeable future. I mean, this is kind of a foregone conclusion. The guy just won a championship. He's been very successful. He's had Vegas competitive every single year. But what are your thoughts on the extension with Coach Davis?
Yeah, when you get to know Coach Davis on a personal level, I view Coach Davis, as a type of mentor, right? I think he's been really good to me. Really appreciate him and, the relationship we built. And I think he's really real. And he's going to give it to you how it is, man. Like, he ain't going to sugarcoat anything, even if you don't want to hear it. That's the main part, Like, I pop my shit every weekend, but sometimes there's stuff I don't want to hear. But it's true. You got to hear it, It's a fact. So I appreciate him for that. But no, and I think players appreciate that. And players appreciate when you can look them in the eyes and tell them, hey, this is what I'm going to do for you. And this is what I can't do for you. If you're real with them, that's the issue. We got so many people trying to say, oh, I can help you here, I can help you there, but they can't, right? Coach Davis can help you. He can help advance your life. So I'm just, happy for him. I think he definitely deserves it. I'm not going to stop trash talking any less. I still want to beat him more than ever, but I'm excited. And I really hope we get a next year.
Absolutely. Obviously wish him nothing but success in the future. It's going to be tough to repeat. There's a lot of talented teams in the league, and with all the coaches moving around, things are really going to change in 2026. But we wish him nothing but the best. Obviously, he was in the chat earlier. We have nothing but respect and admiration for him and his staff. Curtis Chin, also, we already talked about, has signed an extension as well. However, the other big piece of news for the Vegas Nighthawks is Xavier Jackson, the defensive coordinator, will be leaving to join the New Mexico Chupacabras with Kyle Moore-Brown, also previously with Vegas. We will be finishing up the show today with an interview that was pre-recorded with Kyle Moore-Brown when he made this announcement via the interview. And it's not a surprise, right? If you sit there and listen to him talk, he's coached Xavier Jackson since like 2010 basically as a player, and then he's coached with him since like 2016, 2017, something like that. So it's not really a surprise to see him join him in New Mexico. But what are your thoughts on that, and how big of a blow do you think that's going to be to Vegas?
I mean, Coach Davis will find someone else. Like, it's not. It's fine, man. Like, he knows so many players, and he's been in this so long. He'll find someone else. But Xavier, Xavier's a great coach. Xavier's a good one. Like, he's a relatable coach. And I think, Kyle Moore-Brown is, you watch the documentary they did on Vegas. It's called, I forgot the name of it, but they did it they did a 2-year documentary on them, highlighting their season. And it's on YouTube. I encourage everyone to go watch it. And you see in the documentary, Kyle Moore-Brown, how much of a leader he is and how much players respect him. And this is just another move. Xavier played in the NFL. He played at a high level in this league. So, players can look up to him and respect him. So that's a nice move. That's a good culture building move for them. That's good. Yeah, Coach Davis in it with it. Yeah, it's a good move.
United in flight. Okay, I'll definitely have to go check that out. I was not aware of that, so glad to hear it. The next bit of information is some more coaching news, and one of our guys here at the network recently joked that basically Iowa is becoming Frisco East, because Andre Coles was hired as the head coach, as we all know, but he also brought with him 2 former Frisco coaches. Snoop Blackman has been named the defensive coordinator and assistant head coach, and then Bill Cerna, a former special teams coach for Frisco, will also join him in that same capacity with Iowa. What are your thoughts on these hires, and does it surprise you at all to see him tap that Frisco well?
I like Coach Cerna. I know he gets a lot of heat. He's a good dude. We played him. Snoop Blackman, that's a nice move, but we're not scared of anyone, honestly. Like, we're gonna dog shit over these coaches any day of the week. So for me, it's like, nice move. Like, what do you expect? Their defense is still gonna be trash. So, in my opinion.
Oh man, Massachusetts doesn't even have a head coach, hasn't really signed the player. Krish is still talking all the smack, but the biggest news coming out of the IFL is some somber news. Obviously, never a good thing when we see a team go away, especially an established brand. But Bay Area has announced that they will be going dormant for the 2026 season. We actually were able to break the news on that. Love to break news, never like to break that news, unfortunately. We would love if every team could stick around for the long run and keep everybody employed for the long run. But unfortunately, this happened, but kudos to the IFL once again, making sure it happened after a season, after players have already gone home, and hopefully these coaches and the players on the staff or on the roster are able to find new homes. I know some of them have already started to sign various places, but it'll be interesting to see where this coaching staff goes next. That is a star-studded staff with Rob Keefe, Les Moss, Rod Windsor. So I'm definitely excited and intrigued to see where all of those guys end up. And Coach Davis, I'm curious, since you're in the chat, I'm very curious to see who your defensive coordinator candidates are. I was curious if linebacker coach Rick Espejo, hopefully I said that correctly, is the guy for you, but we'll save that question for another day. Also, we have not talked about the fact that the Shreveport Rougarou are now rebranded into the Louisiana Rougarou. What are your thoughts on that move for the Rougarou?
Yeah, I mean, I think I watched multiple interviews with Keith Carter, the new owner of the Louisiana team. It's good for him. They're rebranding. They're putting a stamp on it. They're still gonna suck. I mean, they're still gonna be terrible. I don't expect anything. I know. I'm sorry, Brian. Your team is gonna be horrible. You're hiring, Michael Blair as head coach. Why do we give people head coaching jobs that don't deserve it? You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't deserve to be head coach. He's not ready. He's a good family man. He's this, he's that. I don't care, bro. I really don't care how good of a person he is. We need to hire people on qualifications. You should have went out and got a real football coach. A real football coach who's ready to be a head coach. I'm sure he's a great assistant coach, but he's not ready for, to be a head coach in this league. He's not. And so I see some of the guys that are talking about re-signing. They talk about Zach Hannibal. Man, Zach Hannibal can't even play zone. Watch the film. Turn on the tape. But no, you don't turn on the tape. You sign people based on their personalities and the pity factor. That's all it is. So I don't know, man. I mean, Jermaine Blakely and Amarillo, he can win at two things: the beer league, and he can beat Louisiana now. So those are the two things he'll be able to win at. So it'll be fun. They'll be the doormat of the league. I thought Amarillo was going to be the doormat until I saw Louisiana. Nah, Louisiana's about to be doormat. Horrible.
Leave it up to Krish. He's always got something crazy to say. That was a bit much, man. I don't know.
How is it much? Have you seen their quarterback room had a what I think I saw like 63% completion percentage. This dude's been a QB coach for 1 year. 1 year on a terrible team. Now he's all of a sudden ready to be a head coach. He's going to compete with Coach O. He's going to flip out of bed and compete with Coach O. He's going to flip out of bed and compete with Coach Thomas. He's going to flip out of bed, Coach McGrone. He's going to flip out of bed and beat you. He's really going to flip out of bed and beat you. Come on, bro. Like, that's so crazy and just delusional. You're hiring junior high. The defensive coordinator is a junior high coach. He coached JV high school. He doesn't know indoor. He
has
know
coached
on the
indoor.
50-yard field. No, he doesn't.
He
Bro,
has
like,
coached indoor.
Yeah, at what level?
The 8-man football league, but at the same point, he has still coached indoor football league.
My point is, whatever, man. It's gonna be terrible. But why invest your money in something that you know is gonna be bad? If you're Keith Carter, like if I'm Keith Carter and I'm buying a team in Louisiana, why would I want to put trash on the field? Why would I want to lose $200,000 the first year to watch my team suck? I'd rather lose $600,000 and watch my team be good. That's what my mindset is. But I'm a boss, so some people don't think like me. It's whatever.
Yeah, and I'm sure you got $600,000 in the bank to lose tomorrow too, right?
I come up with it, sure.
Well, here's the thing about that, and we've talked about it before. Look, Washington's entering year 3. They've been an organization that has had a terrible on-field record, right? And now they're finally getting to the point where they are kind of financially able to move forward now that they've made the initial investments in buying a field, buying walls, buying a rebound net structure, getting the organization off the ground, all this stuff. I personally think that we need to give Shreveport some time. This is only year 2 for them. Yes, they hired a semi-professional coach that was only a quarterback coach for 1 year. Yes, their defensive coordinator has limited experience indoors. But guess what? That's not the first time that's happened. So I personally think that in this particular situation, we gotta let it play out a little bit. I'm not saying that Michael Blair is going to come in here and have a 500 record or win a championship. That's okay. That's okay. It doesn't have to. It's only year 2 for the organization.
See, that's the problem with the society we live in. See, where I come from, man, you either get it or you don't. You know what I mean? Like, you can't give cookies to people.
Well, that's evident because Mass replaces coaches every year when they don't win.
Okay, so that doesn't matter, though. We still win with 70 and 48 all time, and we have a championship ring. All right?
Right, and one of the highest payrolls in every single league.
It doesn't matter, though. We're committed to winning.
It does matter, though. Because, see, you come from an organization or you witness an organization that has the money to spend on stuff like that.
That's committed to winning, yeah.
That has thrown money out the door every single year, including taking fines for overpaying in the past, right? Which is great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to knock Jawad for being able to do that. He is elevating player pay across the board by doing what he's doing. 100%. There's no debate about that. But at the same time, not everybody has the pockets for that, man. Like at the end of the day, they have to create a foundation, build it up from there to get to that point. And even then, it's not easy to be at a Massachusetts level, at an Albany
and I
level.
understand that. Like, I'm gonna give you, okay, so me and Coach Wells, right? J.R. Wells, man, head coach of Washington Wolfpack. Me and him, we had some words on Facebook this week, man, because I went at his throat. I went at his neck. I ain't playing no more, bro. Like, you can come and catch me outside. I'm gonna say how it is. So I went at his neck, and he got upset, and whatever. We ended up positively, and if for me, like, I'm trying to tell you that, like, I know what it takes to be successful. I'm not an owner. I don't have the money, but I'm one of the brightest analysts. I am the brightest analyst in this game. I know more about this game than anybody in the country. No one knows more than me outside the players and coaches. And I probably know more than some coaches too, but that's another situation. I'm very knowledgeable about this game. So when I speak on things, I know what I'm talking about. And so my thing is, you don't have to pay, you don't have to overspend, but you got to put people in the positions to be successful. You wrote an article. Now, don't backtrack, because you wrote it about how James Shiver would be a good coaching candidate. Why didn't Keith Carter go out and hire James Shiver? He's right there. He's been an arena football coach. He understands it. But no, he didn't go out and even contact him. That's my issue. That's my problem. I have an issue with people not going through a full interview process. That's the only issue. And it's Louisiana. It's not like it's it's not like Southwest Kansas. You know what I mean? Like, it's an actual state, and they have people in it and
Out of curiosity, do we know for sure he never contacted Shiver?
I mean,
you're just assuming?
Well, I'm assuming because I saw him with Michael Blair at the league meetings. So he already had a head coach all the way back in July.
Well, to be fair, Michael Blair was already a coach on staff at that point. He was the only coach left on the staff at that point, if I remember correctly, to be fair. So, I mean, this same situation happened literally last season with Nashville, where a coach that didn't even end up on the staff for 2025 was attending meetings and stuff with the ownership group. So I'm just saying, a unique situation, obviously. And at the end of the day, as an ownership group, I think you have to hire somebody that you believe in as a person off the field as much as you do on the field, because being a good family man, being a member of the community, all that stuff matters in an upstart team, right? We're talking about a team in Shreveport that they're established now, but let's be honest. Last season was not pretty. They've got a lot of work to do in order to kind of rebuild their image in the community and doing what they can to move forward from last season, and that's why Keith Carter came in, took over ownership, and is trying to build this thing in the right direction. Now, do I necessarily agree with his coaching hire? No. As you said, I wrote an article recently that I believe James Shiver would have been the perfect hire. However, I have come to find out since then that he is not in a situation where he is willing to go coach in Shreveport. So that's a situation where for his off the indoor field life, it does not make sense. So I would be surprised if there wasn't at least a conversation there first.
I see your comment, Coach Davis. Real cute. Why don't you go down the street and go to the Vegas Kings and hire one of their semi-pro coaches to be your D coordinator, and then we can talk. Real cute. Another reason why you're about to get this belt next year. Another reason.
Yeah, Krish, man, you're next level. Sometimes it's hilarious. Yeah. So, I mean, here's another thing. Trevor probably didn't want to deal with it after last year's mess. I mean, he probably wants to see them have a fan base before going in. That could be, that could be part of it for sure. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, all of this matters, but, also, I don't know what Keith Carter's thinking. And, I will say I have reached out to him about coming on this show in the near future, and I'm hoping that he honors that request at some point, but he's a very busy man. We're well aware of that. So hopefully we can get him on when it works for him, and then he can kind of answer some of these questions. We'll also be trying to get Michael Blair on as well. so he can answer some of the questions about why he feels he's qualified to be here. Because at the end of the day, we can form opinions all we want. I don't personally know Michael Blair. He might be suited to be a great head coach. I've had literally a single conversation with the man, so I'm not going to judge him based on his coaching prowess.
You always do. You always know. You always know how to get me, man. You always do.
I didn't even hit a nerve. I haven't even talked about the Orlando Pirates yet today.
All right, we're not even, no.
That's hilarious. So yeah, I mean, we won't touch too much on that today. But any final thoughts before we wrap this bad boy up?
We're not going to talk about your beloved team, Southwest Kansas, going to the NAL. You don't want to touch on that.
We kind of talked about that with the commissioner, but yeah, I mean, we could circle back if you want.
Yeah, no, I mean, I want you to really feel this, man. Like, this is an exciting day for you, Coach Thomas. You're going back to the system. I mean, I just reflect on how big it is for Coach Thomas and Coach O to go. That is true.
Yeah. So this is part of the reasoning, I think, that Shiver will not be making the move to Shreveport. Head coach Negron always has the skinny on the food wherever he goes. And I mean, no disrespect, coach. I got love for that. I'm the same way. So definitely make sure to check out some of the breakfast there in Dodge City.
I'm so excited, man. Like, it's going to be so good.
Is the AF1 losing, in your opinion?
Yes. Well, but it depends. I mean, with the new additions coming in, we'll see. But yeah, I mean, Salina and Southwest, they're two great franchises. I'm telling you, the NAL is going to be lit next year. It's going to be really good. People don't realize it. People want to talk about how CIF this, CIF that. Like, it's going to be a really good football league to watch. That's why when I did my Omaha Beef roster ratings, someone accused me of being a beef homer, right? I love the beef. I love every move Coach Negron makes. No, that's the great part of me and Coach Negron's relationship is I can question him. I can question him. And that's it. You know what I mean? Like, I can just say, hey, like, I feel the way I do about the linebacker room. I do. I feel the way I do about the running back room. But that's the point. It's like, you should be able to question, coaches when they make decisions. You don't want to be like Coach Wells where you kind of deflect and get upset about criticism. You don't want to be like that. So.
Okay. Some of your criticisms are really harsh, though.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
Okay, come on, man.
Louisiana harsh. How is it harsh? Do you see the coach? So you're telling me.
Have you heard how you word some things?
Telling me that Louisiana and a semi-pro coaching staff is going to go into Omaha and compete with Coach Negron. That is a lack of respect. That is disrespectful to Coach Negron.
How many games have you seen him coach as a head coach?
I couldn't see it because it was, a blurry stream, but I tried to watch it the other day when they played the Dallas team or whatever, where he was the head coach. Like, I don't even know, man. I
don't know. Either way, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. You could be right.
What do you have to see? Like, I don't know why this is what we do. We make projections ahead of time. So then I tell you, we make projections ahead of time. And then Luke Miller comes in midseason and says, I told you so. I told you so. I was on it. I knew Omaha would be this good, right? Luke Miller wakes up from hibernation. That's what a lot of these media sources do. They wake up midseason. I wake up before the storm. I tell you what's going to happen. And I'm telling you what's going to happen. So.
Who's your playoff teams?
In the NAL, 6 teams. I'll tell you the 3 that are not going to make it. Ready? We
already know the 3 aren't going to make it. Who's going to make the playoffs?
It's 6 teams. All right. Ready? We got Omaha, Sioux City, Colorado. Colorado's about to be deadly this year. Colorado's about to be nice. Give me Salina, Southwest Kansas, and that's hard. What team am I missing? I'm missing one team. Hold on. Let me just go to the website real quick because I want to get this right. And
you're good. I like this idea, Coach Davis. I think that would be hugely popular amongst arena football coaches, and I think it would be a really good networking event for coaches that are out there trying to find jobs and stuff like that.
Pueblo will be the 16th that will make it.
Oh, really? Pueblo?
It's 6 out of 9. Come on,
Pueblo
man.
is going to make the
No,
playoffs?
it's 6 out of 9.
Wow.
It's 6
I'm
out of 9.
impressed. I'm impressed. This
And
whole
it's probably
season,
still
I've been
500.
convinced that they
It's
were just going to be asleep on the couch, according to Krish.
They will be. They will be. They won't finish. They won't win anything. But they'll make the playoffs. Everyone will get a cookie. You know, you'll be hailing the coaching staff. Oh my God, we made the playoffs year one, despite us cheating. But we're not gonna talk about that. And then so that's what it is. What you call cheating, what you just basically call cheating. But we're not gonna even go there because I don't cross lines like that.
When did I call it?
No, whatever. We don't even need to go there. But anyway, Pueblo will make the playoffs.
What do you mean we don't need to go there? We don't need to talk about Massachusetts having one of the highest payrolls in their league and going 7-9 and completely missing the playoffs with a legendary head coach. Why would we not talk about that?
I'm not even gonna go there, man.
What in the world? We have a very special surprise guest all of a sudden. What's up, Trey?
Man, what's up, Brody?
Oh, well, fellas, how's it going? I saw Krish popping off, and I was like, you know what? Let me hold on. Let me just adjust my light real quick. Hold on. The lighting's a little off here. Hold on 1 second. Almost got it. Hold on. Let me make sure the lighting's okay. I think the lighting's good. I'm sorry, guys. What were you talking about?
That was awesome. This is why we we have to keep in touch with other content creators. That was hilarious. Krish, I'm sure you got something to say.
No, yeah, I love your t-shirt, man. Like I said, man, whatever move Jawad makes, I'm happy with, and we're gonna win a championship in 2026. So that's all it is.
That's right. No cheating, no bending the rules, just clean, clear-cut football, right?
You just gotta get it done the way you gotta get it done, man. You know,
bring it to the O. Let's go.
We got committed ownership that's willing to win wherever they are. So that's all that matters.
That's fair. You know what? I will give them that. They are committed to winning. They definitely have a great foundation and a great organization.
And Coach Davis won't say this because Coach Davis would never admit when we do something right. Yeah, hey, that's fine. When we do something right, he'll never admit it, right? He'll never admit it. So for me, admit that Jawad could easily pick players off of other rosters and bring them in. He could easily do that. And I would do that if I was him. I would go and say, Randolph, Wyndham, call all these guys. He could if he wanted to, but he doesn't. He finds his own players. So you can't be mad about that. You can't be mad.
It's fair, but I going back to what you mentioned earlier, about I think it was on one of your tangents, I think, about Louisiana, about you're okay with losing. I don't think anybody's okay with losing, but you look at the scope of the standings, right? Statistically, someone's going to have a losing record. Every team in a league cannot have a winning record. So just because a team finishes 7-9 per se, that doesn't mean they're a bad team, right, Krish? Hypothetically, if a team were to finish 7-9, does that make them a bad team? Because it's a losing record.
I mean, it depends how close the games were, how competitive they were, but yeah.
Oh, okay. So that's what I'm saying. Just because a team may end up with a losing record isn't a sign that they were a doormat, wasn't a sign that they were just getting walked all over. It just has to happen when you have teams like Sioux City, when you have teams like Omaha. Somebody's going to be on the other end of the win-loss there, right? So I think what Sam mentioned is spot on, where it's it feels like they're building, and it's going to take some time to get there. Not everyone can jump on the scene, cut a check, and instantly become competitive. That's just not the reality of how it works.
There's so much talent in Louisiana. That's my issue. It's go find plays.
Well, you're assuming that all that talent wants to come indoors. I think that's a big hurdle for a lot of folks still, is the stigma of indoor and arena football. Oh, I don't everybody I interview on Off the Wall, when I ask them about arena football, they're like, yeah, I didn't really want to play at first, but now that I'm in it, it's competitive. I like it. So it's there's still that stigma around it, where just because there's plenty of talent there doesn't automatically assume that, hey, here's a contract. All right, I'll sign it. That's not an assumption.
I agree, but look at Southwest, right? I know Southwest has been around for a while, but look at that transition from the CIF to the NAL. They got Coach Thomas. Look at the level of players. You could make the argument they moved up 10 players, 7 players to the UFL, CFL. How do you get those talented players into a small market like Dot City, right? That's my thing.
I think Coach Thomas does a really good job of building those relationships, and obviously the financial element does come into play to get people into those situations. But at the same time, it's like what can the coaching staff and the relationship with those coaching staffs do to get players up to that point? And every head coach has a first year as a head coach, so you can jump to conclusions, say like, oh, this coach is probably not going to be that good. This coach, I don't know why they hired them. We don't know. They could be the next coach Negron. They could be the next Coach Thomas. We don't know until they go out there, right? I'm not saying he is. I'm not saying they are, but we just don't know until it happens.
And that's literally.
I see your point, but like Coach Negron, like that's one thing people forget about Coach Negron. He's this figure that he is now, but he started as a low-level assistant coach, a volunteer coach. He worked his way up. And I always talked to him about his time as an assistant coach, how valuable that was. He learned from one of the best in Coach Fuller, right? So development, you know what I mean? Like not rushing to be a head coach is my biggest thing. This guy had 1 year of coaching half a season of real professionals before they switched over to Dallas Falcons players. Like, so they're telling me he's going to come in and compete with the high-level coaches. It's hard for me to believe.
Well, a lot of that was situation, right? So you have a situation where you've got ownership groups that are, maybe not the best. And now Keith Carter's taking over and trying to rebuild the team in his image, I'd venture to guess when players are getting paid every week that you're going to have a little bit more success getting talent there, and so maybe I'm wrong, but like Trey said, I have to see the guy coach before I can sit here and say that he's not going to be a good coach.
I want to answer this question. What was my prediction for Beaumont? I ranked Beaumont third in my preseason poll. They were ranked number 3 in my preseason poll. So it wasn't too off. And you can pull that up too. Number 3. I kind of underestimated the offense, but I assessed that roster completely. And they had dogs. They had JD Griggs, Jake Oliphant. They had all these dogs. Don't compare your local semi-pro guys to them.
Yeah, they signed a Massachusetts player. They were bound to be good.
No, they had high-level talent on both sides of football. That's why they won the championship.
No, 100%. You were on the Renegades bandwagon early.
And they had a legit coaching staff. Coach Mayfield played in the NFL. He played in the AFL. He also played high-level D1 ball. So, and his son, played in the UFL currently. So he knows what it takes.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I'm not going to lie that the resume for Michael Blair and Thomas Williams is a little unproven, right? But at the same time, you got to get an opportunity to prove yourself, and here's their opportunity. So, if by this time next year we're talking about Louisiana looking for another head coach, then we know that they did not do their job, and they were swept out. If they're still there, then they must have done something right? So, I think we got a long time to go before we can even make any sort of judgments about Louisiana. We haven't even seen them really sign players yet. So, that's my main thing. We're doing a lot of projecting, and projecting's awesome. Don't get me wrong. And that's what we're here for. But at the same time, we're projecting without even a roster, a full coaching staff. And there's a lot of context still left to come.
Right. But I know. So I know ahead of time, and I know I stand on business. I stand on my takes. And if I'm wrong, I'll just move on to the next take. But I'm never wrong. So that's what.
Never. Not even about seeing everybody in August.
Like no one had thought of doing roster ratings for the NAL. I did it for Omaha this morning, and I stand by what I said. Yes, it will change. It will change throughout the offseason, and that's the point. Way too early projections, way too early this, way too early that. That's what we do. We speculate. But I'm not like other people. I don't speculate. I know there's a difference. I've been around this long enough to know who's going to suck and who's going to be good. So that's my thing. It's like, don't call this speculation. Call this the truth. That's what it is.
All right. I'm not going to argue that you don't put the work in. That's for sure. You watch a lot. You watch more games than anybody else I know, to be quite frank. But we'll see, man. We'll see. Nobody who projects things is always 100% right.
Unless you're God. That's the only way.
Man, the stuff you say cracks me up. We got a couple questions here. Any TAL talk? I haven't seen any big news coming out from the TAL, so I was kind of curious if you guys had anything that you wanted to talk about.
I'm curious to see what the expansion looks like. When I interviewed Commissioner Brown on Off the Wall about a month and a half, 2 months back, he said they were eyeing getting to 10 to 12 teams. So I'm curious what that looks like, and it seems like that roadmap would have to start very, very soon. So I'm curious, do they follow the same like corridor through like I-35 that's like through the middle of the country? Do they do like another pod of teams in the Carolinas and Virginia? Like, I don't know. I'm just purely speculating of like, do they start to, do what like the ENTFLA was supposed to be? A little pod of teams here, a little pod of teams there. I don't know. I'm curious to see how that all unfolds.
I think when you hear this next expansion team for the TAL trade, it would be really exciting. It's right down the road from you, so you'll be
all
happy.
right. Let's roll.
San Jose, that's interesting. That rumor, do you guys know? Is there any truth to that rumor, or is it just a rumor?
I know what Wookie's alluding to. I'm putting together a blog. I'm falling down a rabbit hole, a very deep rabbit hole on something that might be happening in San Jose. So I'll throw a little teaser out there.
All right. So keep an eye on it's offthewall.com, right?
Off the Wall FB. Everson Foot
Thank
as
you.
ball.
Man, I should have known that. That's always in your intro.
SAP Center is just so expensive. I hope they can find another arena. I don't know if there's any other arenas in San Jose, but that's something.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. That's a big reason why Bay Area isn't there anymore. The cost is just astronomical, and especially when you're trying to split it between two franchises, I can't even imagine. Here's another question: what about Duluth? What about them, Coach? What about Duluth? Curious what that meant, but yeah. As far as the San Jose situation, it does kind of seem like there's some smoke there. We'll see what happens, but definitely interesting to see some rumblings about another California team so quickly after we saw another one go dormant. It'd be interesting to see if anybody's learned their lessons and they can find a cheaper way to operate out there. But yeah, definitely curious to see what happens with the TAL expansion as well. It seems like they have real big aspirations, but I personally don't see the path yet. So I'm curious to see how that all comes about. And Coach Davis says AF1 ? Interesting. Recruiting for it. I'll say it since you guys won't. Okay. So the Duluth is recruiting for the AF1. Interesting. That would change quite a bit of things for a lot of people, honestly. A lot of leagues too. So
I just, man, like the craziness that goes on, like just like you guys know, man, the craziness that goes on in this industry. Like every day, I'm like, oh man, today's gonna be a low day. Nothing's gonna happen, and then something happens. It's the craziness with the recruiting, how coaches interact. You can have coaches who are friends. You can have one coach backstab the other coach and try to steal their players. It's insanity. It's like I could write a book. It's crazy.
Shoot, there could be a lot of books on all this. Yeah, you're not wrong.
And I'd read every single one of them.
Right,
guys, I appreciate you letting me hop on here real quick. I got to dip out, but yeah. Love the show. Love the interview.
I love the shirt, man. I love that. That made my day. I would make my few phone calls to make sure you're banned from the Kia Center. So that's what I'm going to be doing.
You got it. Listen, the O is all I know. You can't ban me from my hood, okay?
There you go. Thanks for hopping on, Trey. We really, really appreciate that.
See you
guys. Here's a good question. Well, first of all, Mike Davis says announcement coming shortly. At least that's what they're telling players. Coach Trey says, what exactly is stealing players?
Stealing players for me is like if you have a relationship with a coach. So let's just use an example. Let's tell it how it is. Coach Davis, Coach Way, right? They have a relationship. They've said it on camera multiple times. They do have a relationship. For me, the courtesy would be to say, hey, coach, I'm looking at this guy. Or like, hey, like communicate. I think, you know what the re-sign period is for the IFL. You know it's until October. You know it's until the beginning of October. So call the coach and just say, hey, I'm interested in this player. Yes, can Coach Davis hold his guys hostage? No, but it's a respect thing. It's more like they're on this guy's roster for a certain amount of time. October 1st is a free game for everyone around the industry. You don't need to call anyone on October 1st. But you could reach out and say, hey, I'm looking at a couple of your guys. You don't have to say which guys they are. You can say, hey, I'm looking at a couple of your guys. Just that transparency and that communication goes a long way. Because, we talk about doing coaching summits and all this stuff. None of that will happen if there's stuff like this happening, where people are just sniping players off the roster.
Well, on the flip side, though, if they have more access to the other coaches, maybe that breeds more of a collaborative effort on stuff like this. Because, there's a flip side to this, too. Because, we've talked with many coaches. We just talked with EJ Burt a little while ago about helping players find their next landing spot, too. If, like you say, you release a guy. So if you burn a bridge with another coach, and you're signing all their players and you're not even so much as communicating with them or whatever, I get it. There are some intricacies there that don't necessarily have to be followed. It's more of a respect thing, a professional respect thing. But at the same time, if you burn those bridges, then you may not be privy when they're going to let a guy go and you happen to have a need at that position or something like that. Which
I'm going to give you an example, and I don't know Coach Davis. I'm not speaking for you, so you can chime in if you feel it's right. But in a serious note, say Coach Davis has a player in camp, for example, this year, and the player lives close to New York, right? Do you think if he cuts the player, is he going to make that phone call to Coach Ware and say, hey, I have a guy that might fit the arena style better? You think he's going to do that now? Or you think it's kind of no?
Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. And that's a situation where it helps to have those connections. 100% it does. I mean, at the end of the day, one man's trash might be the next man's treasure, as far as a player goes. And a player may not fit the indoor rule set, but he fits the arena rule set, So, I mean, there's situations like that. And I mean, I think that there is something to be said about keeping those relationships built and intact. But I like
a lot of
here.
people, symbiotic relationships are really important. You want to grow with other coaches. I mean, I give Coach Davis so much shit. He's a championship winning coach. I can't say shit. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, he won a championship this year. So clearly what he's doing is right. He built a 4-year program. He won a championship in 4 years. He built, playoff championship with a rookie quarterback. So I can't really, hate him for that. So I would be looking at him and I would be saying, hey, what can I learn from you? Put me on in.
Yeah. And that's absolutely fair. It's not the first time he's built a championship caliber organization, in a short amount of time. So I think that he definitely deserves some recognition. But I wanted to highlight this comment real quick. It seems that a few coaches are not professional in the lower leagues. It will come back to bite them, just saying. To be clear, I think what they're saying is that lower leagues by arena indoor football, not necessarily saying that NAL or IFL I don't think we're talking tiers here. So just to be clear.
No, my issue is when I see guys like Sean Johnson. Sean Johnson is the scout for Albany, right? And he does all the scouting work. For me, going to another roster and picking out players is not scouting. It's having Coach Davis did the work. Coach Davis brought them in. He developed them. They were his babies. Now they're adults, and he built them up. You know what I mean? And so now Coach Ware is like, oh, I want that guy. I want this guy. I want that. You know what I mean? It's more like you're – and they have the resources to do it. You know what I mean? So obviously if the money's right, whatever, you have the resources to do it. But that, for example, Colorado, a lot of their guys last year previously played in the IFL, NAL, right? So it's not like they're finding the guys. They just have the resources to get them. No, there's no issue with that. It's not – you can't sit there and say, I'm the best scout like Sean Johnson says. He's not the best scout. He's not. He's the best talent plucker. That's what that is. So.
It's called competition. It does not change because you are a coach. That's how the game works for all. She will always ask what you have done for me lately. I agree, Coach, but at the same time, like I said, there's some professional respect, right? And I mean, if you want to sign a player, I mean, there's nothing wrong with calling another coach and be like, hey, I'm interested in this guy. Are you intending on retaining him? And just because they say yes, they intend to retain them does not mean that you shouldn't put in an offer. You've already, fulfilled your professional obligations of saying, hey, I'm looking to offer this player. So you're not stepping on toes at that point. You're just giving them the professional courtesy of being like, hey, I'm looking at some of your players. Just be prepared. They're going to have some options type situation.
Yeah, you just don't want to. You don't want to burn a bridge. Bridges are really important in this industry, and coaches can help players. Coaches can help players get other places, but if other coaches can't fulfill, and it's not just Coach Ware. I'm not coming at Coach Ware, but what I'm saying is that Coach Ware is, he's one of the multiple coaches who operate like that, who, and it's what it is, man. I'm all for players couldn't pay that why. It's just the way some people do about it. It's crazy. We will always go out and recruit and find the next one. Professional respect and loss because most have zero clue. Yeah, I mean, it is. And, the situation with Duluth, whatever, like we'll get into that at some point. But yeah, I mean, it is, it's crazy. It's wild to me when I see stuff like that for sure, but it's like, you just gotta just be respectful about it. You know what I mean? Don't go around being a hoe about it, man. Like you get a long way in this world and in any profession. In any profession, you request permission to interview for any. Yeah, that's how any professional job works. So
it's the same thing as putting in 2-week notice at a job, right? So I mean, I think it's just a professional thing. And honestly, let's be real honest. We're at the point where there's professional and then there's indoor football, and they're just a slight little bit, of a level below. And the reason I point that out is because there is a situation where you have some semi-professional guys moving up into indoor football, and then you have some guys from the higher levels dropping down into indoor football. So it's kind of a unique mixture, that mostly.
I look at Jerome, right? Jerome owed so much to Coach Davis and Coach Chin. He owed so much, man. I mean, he came in as a underdeveloped kid from Green Bay, right? I mean, he struggled his first year in Green Bay badly. And he came to Vegas, and they put a great line around him, great receivers, great number one running back, right? Best offensive coordinator. And Coach Jerome, they coached Jerome into an MVP caliber player. So looking back on it now, Jerome had an opportunity to go to Albany, make the most money that he would make anywhere else. Any other spot in the IFL would not pay him what Albany's paying him, and that's a fact. And so he owes a lot to them. So when it's all said and done, Jerome should reach out and say, thank you. Thank you for putting me on and giving me this opportunity. He gets to stay close to home. He gets to make more money. He's living great. So for him, it's good.
Yeah, I get it 100%. Coach Trey says that's not how it works. If the player has the relationship he believes he has, it doesn't matter. You're right, Coach. It's 100% correct. The player's going to decide whatever is best for them. That's not what we're discussing here, right? The player, you cannot make decisions for the player as a coach, as a scout, as a GM. It does not matter. You cannot tell that guy what to do with his own life. What you can do is tell them what you can provide. And at that point, provide him with options. All we're saying is there's a little step of extra professional courtesy. Call the coach. Hey, man, I'm going to put in an offer on this guy. I have some interest in him. That's all you have to do. Like I said, you don't necessarily have to retract your offer because they said they're trying to retain him. You just let them know. And I mean, honestly, I think that goes a long way. And maybe, it's not the norm. It probably should be, right? At the end of the day. It's just
I like this one too by Coach Davis. It's one of those things where, like this comment, right? Coach Davis does a great job at finding guys who can come in and make an impact right away. Look at Phoenix Pros from North Dakota State. Great piece. They signed Jaden Williams from Texas State, right? You're building with those pieces. And even last year, he gave 3 guys an opportunity, 2 guys from Duluth, Harbor Monsters, an opportunity to come up to the big leagues and play in the IFL. Did any of them make it through camp after 1 week? No. But the reality is he gave them that opportunity. You gave them the opportunity. So you can't say, he doesn't give every player opportunities. He does. And that's a fact. And I'll give him credit where credit is due. He gives guys opportunities. What he's asking for and what he deserves as a championship-winning coach is respect. That's all, he deserves a level of respect. So that's all it is.
That's how I see it as well. But any final thoughts so we can wrap this bad boy up and roll this New Mexico Chupacabra interview?
No, speaking of the IFL, I'm really excited for what we have going with our Pirates. I'll emphasize Pirates organization. Really excited for that and the announcement that will be coming out in the next week and a half, I believe. We got some big things coming. So, we'll continue to support whatever, and just looking forward to, what's to come, what Jawad has in store for us. And, I'm excited for next week. We got a lot of different announcements coming out of different leagues. NAL. Hopefully, the NAL schedule drops by next week, so I can start looking at my early schedule predictions. But no, enjoy a great day of college football, and I'm definitely looking forward to next week's show.
Absolutely. Make sure you're always checking out the CFL as well. And here in about 45 minutes, right after this interview wraps up, we will have the bus stop right here on Shady Sports Network, which covers music and sports. So if you like to talk some music, you like to talk some sports, you definitely want to tune in at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. 9:30 a.m. Mountain Time, 11:30 a.m. Eastern. As far as my final thoughts, I mean, we've discussed basically everything I've got in my brain at the moment this week, so there really isn't anything final thought wise. Really appreciate everybody who tuned in. Also, shout out to Brian Mathern, who was the first person who purchased stickers from Shady Sports Network. He put in that order yesterday. Really appreciate your support, Brian. Also, Brian is a part of another podcast network that has been doing a lot of NAL coverage, the Sports Den Network. They're doing shows about, I believe, every team, if I'm not mistaken, or at least a couple key teams in the league. Definitely check out their network. It's on YouTube, the Sports Den Network. So check them out. They've got tons of interviews that have been coming out. They've been doing really good coverage of the league. And as far as I'm concerned, both of those guys are really advocates for the NAL, and we need more of them out there. So really appreciate their coverage, their support of us. Hopefully we can return the favor, and we can go ahead and help them push out their content a little bit. But with that all being said, we still have plenty of stickers. We still have Shady Sports Network merch. So if you want some stickers, shoot me an inbox or shoot me a direct message. I'll make sure to get them shipped out as soon as possible. And then also check out brandingblanks.com for our merchandise. But without further ado, here is our pre-recorded interview with head coach Kyle Moore-Brown of the New Mexico Chupacabras. All right, we have a very special interview for you today, and that is the head coach, Mr. Coach Kyle Moore-Brown. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, man. How you guys doing?
Doing great. Super excited to have you on tonight. As I just told you off camera, I actually got to see you play, a few years back, or quite a few years back at this point, before you ever started your coaching career. And now we're kind of here full circle with you being named the head coach of the New Mexico Chupacabras. But let's just start there. I mean, what does it feel like to be named a head coach for the first time?
Well, this is actually my third time. But it's an honor. Man, I take take it very seriously. I know we got young guys who look up to guys like myself who've taken the indoor path and had some success. Just trying to be a good leader and a good ambassador for the indoor game, and hoping that we can kind of bring something special to New Mexico.
Absolutely. I apologize. Where else were you a head coach in the past?
So I was a head coach. Me and my brother had a team in La Crosse, Wisconsin, called the La Crosse Spartans in the IFL. And then I took the La Crosse Spartans team to Cedar Rapids, Iowa. So we were the Cedar Rapids Titans.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that makes more sense. I apologize about that.
No. Because sometimes I kind of was going through the gauntlet of coaching in the IFL. So it's been good.
Absolutely. I mean, so talk to me a little bit about that. I mean, you seem to have quite a bit of experience with teams in new markets, and whether it's a brand new team or a team that moved, like you just spoke about, whether it was with Cedar Rapids or later on with La Crosse, Vegas. How valuable do you think that experience going into a new market with some of your previous experience will be in 2026 with the Chupacabras?
Yeah. Right. It's always good to try to lay a foundation. That's one of the toughest things when you first a new franchise anywhere. You're trying to lay a good foundation and want the community to support you because of who you are and what you give back to the community. So it's not necessarily somebody coming to visit someone that they don't know or they're not familiar with. So the one thing that I want to do is get into the community, make sure that everybody understands that we represent you. You represent us, and let's go out there and have a great time. So I've always, wasn't afraid to go shake hands and talk to people and just love on kids. I love children. I have two children myself, brand new children. Like 1 year, one of my sons just turned one on September the 12th, and the other one will be two on November the 9th. So
Wow, a couple young kids.
yeah, yeah,
That's gonna be
that's
tough.
it keep me going.
Absolutely.
So
I mean, I can imagine it's kind of tough to leave them during the football season, but
it is. It is.
it'll be a great season in New Mexico. I have a feeling.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
So you talked a little bit about it. You know, getting into the community is obviously very important, especially for a team that is coming back after a hiatus in 2025.
Right.
Can you kind of elaborate, and if you can't, no big deal, but can you kind of elaborate on some of the off-season plans for the Chupacabras to be in the community?
Well, actually next Thursday I'll be there. Going to the New Mexico State game to see, just to see how the community supports the local teams there, and to go introduce myself. Go out there and have myself accessible to fans and coaches, and let them know that collectively, if we do everything that we need to do, we can be proud of what we brought back to New Mexico. They had a couple winning programs there before, and I want to add to that.
Absolutely. Backing up a little bit, I had noticed in my research prior to having you on here today that you and General Manager Tim Smith had actually crossed paths before in Indiana. How close were you guys at that time, and how crucial was that relationship for you to ultimately take the job in New Mexico this year?
Great question. And that's where I try to explain to people most of the time that you never know where your paths is going to meet another person's. Well, Tim was actually our team's mascot. And he played an intricate part. I'm a firm believer in everybody from the maintenance people, security, on up to the top people who pays everybody's bills. We all have a responsibility to respect one another, to honor and respect what each other does. So Tim was a part of the team. So I always took, like, hey man, I get ready for a game. I used to say, hey, I need you. I need you to do your part, and I'm gonna do my part. That relationship stuck. We've done children's hospitals together when we were in Indiana. And I just got to know who he was, and then of course I started coaching and got doing my thing. And he kind of left and went to. He was in Indianapolis, and now he's moved on from Indianapolis. And I'm going. I saw him and he got the position. He was like, got some news to say. He did it on social media. And all I was just saying was, I was like, well, congratulations. He was like, man, Kyle, I was looking for you. Like, what's going on? What you doing? I said, I'm coaching. He said, coaching where? I said, in the IFL in Las Vegas. He's like, Kyle, I'm about to call you. And the rest is history. He was like, what do you think about, trying to coach? I said, I'm coaching now, so I'm good where I am. I said, I have an opportunity to try to help this team get to the national championship game. And we did that and won it. And, kudos to Mike Davis and everybody that were coaching with us, Curtis Chin and Xavier Jackson. We had a great bunch of guys there helping us, contributed to it. Coach E, man, and Trevor, everybody that did their part to help that franchise get to where it was. So it was great. It's been great for me.
Absolutely. I mean, talk about the best possible way for you to close out your time with Vegas before taking this position with New Mexico.
Right.
It's kind of a, this could honestly be like one of those Disney movies you see, right? Where it's
Well,
just
let's hope.
kind of a
Yes.
storybook finish. And hopefully, you find a lot of success here in New Mexico now.
Thank you.
But I wanted to ask you about that relationship with Curtis Chin and Mike Davis. I mean, you guys have worked together for many years in multiple locations now. How crucial has your relationship with Coach Chin and Coach Davis been in kind of preparing you for this opportunity specifically now that you're here?
Well, we've shared a lot of the same responsibilities together collectively, right? There was never like a one-minded, way of thinking in the office, in the coach's office. So we all fed off each other. We got used to working with each other, understood what each other what are the likes or the dislikes, and then we just kind of, put our egos to the side and basically said it's really not about us. It's about those young men that we're servicing. So we can put whatever we've done, outside of that arena, good, bad, or indifferent, and they ain't gonna do nothing to help, move the needle with these young people. So, well, I have nothing but the utmost respect for those guys. Every single guy, Coach Bly. I don't want to forget him. But we had a whole bunch of great people that contribute to the wins that we had and the victory we had as a championship team. So it's a mutual respect. That's all I would say. It's just a mutual respect that we have for one another. And I'm always respect those guys. I've worked, like you said, in numerous different teams with Hurtis and Mike and Xavier. Actually, I coached Xavier Jackson. So that just goes to say I'm kind of showing my age at that point. To say I've coached him now. I'm coaching with him. So it's been good. It's been a great course, and I'm still enjoying what I do.
Absolutely. Love that connection there. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you coached Xavier in Nebraska.
Nebraska, yes. He was with me in lacrosse.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
so he was with me in lacrosse with the lacrosse Spartans. I took him from lacrosse to Cedar Rapids with me. So when I left Cedar Rapids, I went to the Iowa Barnstormers, and I asked him if he wanted to come. When I was with the Pittsburgh Power in the Arena Football League, Xavier, you want to come? Everywhere I've ever been, I've always asked him. So when I went to Nebraska, I was like, "Hey man, I want you to come to Nebraska." He came to Nebraska. So again, and started his coaching journey in Nebraska. And him and Hurtis has been together in Nebraska, and then they went to Tucson together. So he's been on that umbrella. We've all stuck together. Because I tell people all the time, coaching is a fraternity. You get used to a bunch of guys that you've worked with in the past and understand that kind of is the meat and potatoes to make things win.
Yeah, I love that how you put that. Coaching really is a fraternity. You see a lot of times that coaches kind of stick together to a certain extent. You see the same certain guys work together a lot of the time. So I've always kind of loved that. In a good way. It's about who you know and the relationships you make and the networking you've done over the years that really kind of affects your career and puts you in positions to be like where you're at today with your relationship with Tim and kind of how
Right.
you guys came back together. So
Yes, sir.
love to kind of follow along with that stuff, and it's always been very interesting to me. So
Yeah.
I appreciate you kind of touching on that a little bit. But you spoke about it a moment ago. You kind of had Xavier follow you from place to place, and obviously I imagine there's some guys that you would love to have that you had in Vegas over the past couple seasons with you in New Mexico. Are there any players that you can kind of elaborate on that you may have already been talking to or if possibly already signed at this point for 2026?
Well, I haven't signed any players from Vegas, but of course, I've gained the utmost respect for those guys. So again, those guys are professional. I wouldn't do anything to jeopardize our relationship. I wouldn't do anything to hurt Mike's business and hurt his business. That's just not my style. So again, when those guys become unrestricted free agents, they have the right to talk to anyone. I'm just a firm believer, and I just don't want nobody to be sitting nowhere not thinking somebody don't want them, right? They're not trash. That you sit them out and go, okay, well, we didn't want those guys. So next group of guys, that's not what Hurtis and them are doing. I'm just saying, I'm just the type of person. If you are not going to use them, I'll use them, right? So again, it wasn't nobody in particular. I just I went through the whole. I'm still going through film, looking at other teams, not just my team. I like a lot of guys from different other organizations. So I just want the best product. I want the best bunch of guys that can gel well together and win together and have fun and get to see each other's families and meet each other's family. I want a family like atmosphere because that's the only way you can win, when everybody wants to be around each other and we can handle adversity together. We don't fragment in times like that. So if I get that bunch of guys, I think we'll do well.
Makes sense. It's always about the relationships off the field and playing for
Right.
the dude next to you. So I definitely love that.
Right.
So obviously, like you said, you can't really negotiate with players quite yet. It's not unrestricted free agency. But what about coaches? Can you talk about any of the potential coaching additions to your staff this season?
Right. So Xavier Jackson will be my defensive coordinator, and I've been talking to a couple other guys who I played with. Raymond Filion, and another gentleman that I spoke to, that I played with. I respect their game. I respect their knowledge of the game. I respect how their passion for young men and trying to help them get outside. The ultimate goal is to make New Mexico and every other team just a stopping point, right? We want to get those guys an opportunity to get back outside. So whatever we can do to shave the thorns that they have on them that someone else didn't see, or the immaturity they may have, or the knowledge of the game. A lot of people don't understand the importance of the game. So again, sometimes we need the smaller, how can I say, it's like a smaller classroom, so you learn because everybody learns differently. So I take it to that approach. I say, listen, man, you're a professional. I'm gonna treat you like that, right? The price that you make. If you make $1 to play your game, you're a professional, right? I'll tell this story. I was on a plane one time, early in my career, and this is when I think we was going to Orlando, and a young lady, older lady, said, "You guys are a professional football team?" I was like, "Yes, ma'am." She's like, "Well, how much you guys making?" I was like, 250. She's like, "Oh, you guys are semi-pro," and I was just kind of like, "Oh." I paid it no mind. I'm in like 2004, and I'm sitting on a plane, and another lady asks, "You guys are big? You guys are bodyguards?" I'm like, "No." Football players? Like, "Yes, man." Like, "Man, what kind of football?" I'm like, "Indoor football." "Is that semi-pro?" I'm like, "No, no, man." "Well, how much do you make? How much do you guys make?" I said, "I make $6,000 a week." She's like, "You guys are like the NFL." I go, "Yeah." So that just triggered with me. I go, because of the price in which how much money I made weekly justified to someone that I must be a professional. But if I'm making $1, I'm a professional. If somebody seeks my duties to come work for you, and I'm getting 50 cents for that, I'm a professional in what I do because I'm gonna give my all. So that's what I tell my guys. I'm gonna tell my guys, like, I want the best version of you, and I don't want it to come with a price ticket. Everybody wants to make money, right? Nobody wants to say, "I'm gonna just play for free." You got some guys that will probably do that, but I'm just saying, in the grand scheme of things, like, you want to make some money. Everybody wants to make. I want to make money, but you also want to do something that God just designed you to do, and that's go to play a sport that I've been loving all my life, and it's football.
Absolutely. I love that thought process there, because I always have been a proponent as well. If you get paid to do something, you're a professional.
Right.
It's not like you're a semi-professional grocery bagger because you only make, $300-400 a week or whatever it is. It just, that's always kind of cracked me up as a thought process about this. Like
Right.
you said, somebody seeking out your services, you're a professional.
You
So
are a professional, without a doubt.
I love that. But let me throw a name at you, and obviously this is kind of off a wall in terms of somebody that could potentially pop up on your coaching radar. But what about a guy like Damian Harrell? I mean, I know you played with him, you coached with him at the Power. I would love to see him back in the game. I haven't seen him around in years, but
I would
any
love
chance
to.
to get some of the old Crush guys back together?
Right. You know what? I worked with Damian Harrell in Pittsburgh. Him, myself, Derek Stingley, and Leroy Thompson were coaches with the Pittsburgh Power in the IFL. So his son actually called me. His son was playing arena football, and he called me when I was in Las Vegas, to try to possibly get a tryout, a workout with us.
Really? I was not aware
Yes.
of that.
Yeah, I would love Damien Harrell. You know what? So crazy. I may have to call him tomorrow just to say, "Hey, man, somebody threw a name at me on a podcast, and I'm kind of thinking, if you want to do it again, come on, let's get together."
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. I
Yes.
mean, I'm already planning on being a New Mexico fan, but that
Awesome.
would be that'd be great to see. He was one of my favorite players back in the day in the
He was
AFL to watch.
he was a great, and I was watching a podcast with I was watching a game with another podcast guy on
Off the wall?
Tuesday, Off the Wall, right?
Yeah.
And I was just watching Eddie, and I said, you know what was weird to me? Like, I had a front row seat to two of the greatest receivers in AFL history, the 1-2 punch in Damon Harrell and Eddie Brown. And to be, just to have that honor to be on the field with those guys and watch them become almost like just, action figures that everybody remembers, Eddie and Dayton Harrell, because they were outstanding football players, good men, outstanding football players. And of course they gave back to the communities that we played in. So my hat's off to both of those guys. They were wonderful to watch.
Absolutely. And what we're kind of humbly glossing over here, that you were one of those greats as well back then. So,
But you
went
know what? Yeah, you know what's so crazy? And I appreciate that comment, but I laugh about this because when you're playing and you're playing for the love of the game, like I just was like, I love playing football. I've been playing football since I was 3, right? And well, I'll be 55. So when I look at that, I'll be thinking like, man, I've been playing football basically all my life, loving to do what I love to do. And if I can continue to do it and have a good time, man, I would probably play till I was 55, right? If my body would allow me to do that. So I would have been like, oh my God. So yeah, it's just fun for me. It's fun.
Absolutely. So I got a couple more questions for you. I mean, obviously, I'm sure fans are curious to see what the identity of their team will be in 2026. Is there anything you can kind of tell us about the kind of identity you want to put forth as a team in next
Well,
season?
Well, we're going to be a no quit type of a team. I mean, I think New Mexico is a hard hat place, a blue collar place, and we're going to be that type of football team. We won't quit. We'll be resilient on the football field. We'll come prepared. We won't back down from anybody. We challenge any and everybody, right? And I'm a firm believer in if I surround myself with 30 other winners, right, mentally winners, I can never lose, right? Because we have that kind of desire. So I just want to be fierce competitors, tough, tough people on the field, but understand that have compassion off the field, right? Because the community that we serve, I want to be able to serve it and serve it well. I mean, we owe it to the people that come out and pay money to come see us. Those young men play the product that I'll put on the field out there. They come see they deserve that, right? So again, I think we're gonna be men of integrity. I'm going after character guys. I don't want to be chasing nobody 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Somebody called and somebody's out drinking or something, or did something they had no business doing. I don't want those type of guys. So again, I want people of Albuquerque to be proud of what we present. Proud of us like we'll be proud of them.
I love that. I love that. And it seems like you're everything you're mentioning here is you're about the fans and about the community and stuff like that. So I'm sure the community is going to latch right back on and hopefully buy in and immediately start supporting the team. And if you're watching this and you wanted to get more information about the team or whatever, feel free to reach out. We can connect you with people with the team. And also I recommend, picking up some season tickets, or if you haven't seen an indoor football game, go catch one. I'm sure you'll be a lifelong fan after that. It's so much fun. If you like outdoor football, you're going to love indoor football, is what I
Right.
tell everybody. It's a lot more exciting, a lot more fast paced.
Yes.
I mean, we've talked about potential players. We've talked about coaching staff. We've talked about your connections with Tim and how you ended up here today. So, I mean, I think we've pretty much covered more of my questions than not.
Okay.
I guess my final question for you is, how do you foresee the structure of your coaching staff? Do you plan on calling offensive plays, or do you plan on bringing in an offensive coordinator?
Right. So that's what my last actually hurdle. It's not really a hurdle, but I'm just trying to find the right fit. So I'm in search for an offensive coordinator right now. And once I find that last piece of the puzzle, my coaching staff will be set. And that's one of the things that I'm just adamant about. So the type of players, we're going after defensive players right now because I'm getting to talk to Coach X. I got some offensive players that I got, right where I want them to be. But I just didn't want to jump the curb and be like, oh, you know what? Well, I'm gonna go get this type of quarterback, and then I get an offensive coordinator. And I told one of the guys that were interviewing, I said, the reason why I want you to kind of get acclimated to what we're doing is in the free agent market. I want to be able to get you what you're comfortable with. Like if I'm going to pick, I may go get you a bird, and you're like, I was looking for a giraffe, and I'm like, well, I didn't know that, right? So I'm going the type of player that you're looking for, that you see your vision as an office that can be productive. I don't want to get you something that is a pocket pass, and you want a guy that can, is a zone read guy, right? So that's why we're trying to, push the envelope a little bit with that. I got some great candidates. We'll probably narrow it down within the next week or so, just to kind of get everything going when signing time comes on October 1.
Absolutely. I love that thought as well. You talked about a little bit ago in terms of quarterbacks and stuff. And one guy I had initially planned on asking you guys about when I had you on was Jerome Johnson. Obviously 2025 MVP, the 2024 MVP, I apologize. But, had kind of taken a backseat to Jaden Delora, so I figured he'd be leaving Vegas. I did not see him leaving Vegas for Albany. I actually expected him to end up with you in New Mexico, but kudos to him and good luck to him in Albany.
Right.
That would have been a great quarterback to start.
It would have been a super good fit, and that's one of the things that when you get a fierce competitor like that guy, just a good, like I said, I think the world of him. I was definitely coming after him. Like there's no ifs, ands, and buts about him. Like, hey, you coming with me, man? But I think he chose to be close to home because he's from the DC area. And that's what makes me laugh is two guys that played with me in Las Vegas. That's my first team, the Albany Firebirds. That's why I won my first championship. So I'm going. You guys are going back to a place that I fell in love with, the indoor game. I got a championship in 1999 down there, and I'm going, man. I'll forever be grateful for the people of Albany. So when people like Chizzy signed with the Albany Firebirds, our defensive end. Are you still? I don't know if you're still there. Oh, there you go. So he signed with the Albany Firebirds. My little cousin Drew Singleton signed with the Albany Firebirds this year, and then now Jerome. So when I see that, I'm happy for him because I think the people in Albany deserve good young people. It's hard for me to say, I would love for him to be with me, but I understood because you know what he did? He did text me. Coach, thanks for everything you've always done for me, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate you too. So there's a mutual respect. And I told him if you ever need me for anything, my line is always open for him.
Absolutely. I love that as well. So shout out to Chizzy, big fan of him. He's a great guy. Jerome as well. I've talked to both of those guys off camera and on camera at this point. So I really hope they have nothing but success in the future.
Yes.
Thank you again, Coach, for your time tonight. I really appreciate you coming on and kind of talking with me a little bit more. And I look forward to what you guys put forth in 2026. And I hope we can keep connection and get you back on here at some point during the season.
Yes, I had a great time speaking with you, and thanks for the invite.
Absolutely. Is there anything you want to say to fans or shout out anybody?
Just thank them. Just thank them for supporting me so far. All of these years, it's been great. The journey has been great, but it's not over. So I'm gonna need that same support to come to New Mexico. From Colorado. Let's have a big old fan club. Get together in New Mexico and let's enjoy one another and go out there and watch some great football.
I love that. Well, thank you once again, Coach. Really appreciate your time tonight, and congratulations on the championship win. I'm sure New Mexico is hoping you're able to bring one to them very quickly.
Yeah, I'm wearing it. I'm proudly wearing it right now.
There you go.
Well, good night to everyone, and thank you again for the invite.
Absolutely. Have a great night, and look forward to seeing what you can do in 2026.
Yes, sir. Thank you.